Chapter 246. When Chu Tian walked up the hill while holding his swollen face, he immediately saw a fire dragon slowly moving in from the distance. This should be a group of soldiers holding torches. There were at least several thousand of them and the scale was not small at all. Cavalry troops? Were they just going to kill their way in? That was too stupid. It was no different from sending themselves to death. When the several thousand elite cavalry reached the entrance of the Green Dragon Trail, there were already large amounts of snake-scorpion beasts charging out of the Green Ridge. The Qing state cavalry seemed to understand the snake-scorpion beasts very well. These demon beasts were very dangerous, especially the poison mist that they could control. If they attacked the nearby villages, it would definitely cause heavy casualties. Listen to my order. We have to stop the beast wave here. Otherwise, once they spread out, the consequences will be unimaginable. A single snake-scorpion beast was enough to destroy a small group of soldiers. If the snake-scorpion beasts gathered together, it was still easy to deal with, but once they spread out, the poison mist would be everywhere. How could they tell? Not to mention that it was night time right now, so the naked eye could not tell the poison mist apart. Fire! Fire for me! 300 steps away. Kill them all. The Qing state cavalry gave up on the cavalry's most advantageous charging tactic. Each person held a bow and shot at the snake-scorpion beasts at a 45-degree angle, releasing a dense rain of arrows at them. Puchi! Several snake-scorpion beasts were hit by the arrows. The snake-scorpion beasts were filled with rage. They stopped fighting for food and charged at the cavalry. The Qing state cavalry did not dare be careless as they retreated and released a dense rain of arrows. However, this kind of attack was not very effective against the snake-scorpion beasts. Firstly, there were too many snake-scorpion beasts to kill. Secondly, the snake-scorpion beasts' outer shells were very strong and could effectively resist the poison mist. Thirdly, the snake-scorpion beasts were covered in the poison mist and had the cover of the night, so the archers could not aim and could only randomly shoot. In this kind of situation, it was already not bad if they could hit 1 out of 10. A large amount of thick, black, poisonous fog rolled and spread like a mighty tsunami, engulfing the cavalrymen. Damn! Retreat, quickly retreat! The cavalry leader waved his large sword as he shouted. He immediately pulled the reins and the rest of the cavalry began to retreat. At this time, a large gust of wind blew by, increasing the speed at which the poison mist spread. In an instant, 300-400 cavalry were swallowed by the poison mist. The snake-scorpion beast's poison mist was hard to defend against. Even if it touched their skin, it could enter their body through their pores. Just a small amount was enough to paralyze a cultivator. Ah! I can't move. One by one, the cavalrymen collapsed to the ground. Regardless of whether they were men or horses, their bodies twitched as they gradually lost the ability to resist. Those cruel snakes and scorpions pounced on them, using their powerful pincers to shred their bodies and began to feast on their flesh and blood. The most terrifying part of this slaughter was that the poison fog could paralyze a person's body, but it would not make them lose consciousness. The people that fell into the snake-scorpion beasts could only watch as their bodies were torn apart and eaten. That mournful scream made the other cavalrymen tremble in fear. Despicable beasts! The cavalryman saw that the ground was littered with struggling and wailing soldiers. His eyes turned red with anger. Kill! 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 You must kill them all for me. The cavalryman drew his bow again. The snake-scorpion beasts had hunted enough food and were preparing to enjoy themselves, but these hateful cavalry kept harassing them, completely angering the snake-scorpion beasts. Thus, the snake-scorpion beasts threw away the food in their hands and once again attacked the cavalry. The vipers and scorpions lived in groups and had a very obvious attack strategy. After leaving the narrow Green Dragon Trail, they immediately split into several groups and attacked the cavalry from different directions. The dark night was the best camouflage for the snake-scorpion beasts. The snake-scorpion beasts were completely black and covered in a dark green mist, so it was impossible to see them with the naked eye. When the cavalry concentrated on attacking the snake-scorpion beasts in front of them, they did not know that there were already 2 snake-scorpion beasts attacking them from the left and right. Ah! I've been poisoned. Save me, the monsters on the left are sneak attacking. Save me, there are demon beasts on the right. The cavalry fell to the ground one by one and pitiful cries came from the dark night. The rest of the cavalry fell into chaos and became dizzy, running around like headless flies. Finally they were surrounded by the snake-scorpion beasts and the cavalry leader died a miserable death. Run! Quickly run! Several thousand cavalry came to help, but only 700-800 managed to escape. The rest of the cavalry lost their lives to the snake-scorpion beasts' poison, becoming food for the snake-scorpion beasts. The snake and scorpion dragged all the corpses of the people and horses into the canyon, and the poisonous fog quickly retreated with the snake and scorpion. Other than the bloodstains, broken armors, weapons, and arrows scattered all over the place, there was not a single trace left. Chen Bingyu and Chu Tian were standing on the hill, so they could see the entire process, but they could not do anything. They truly were terrifying demon beasts. With these snake-scorpion beasts occupying the Green Ridge, it was impossible for humans to mine at all. It was no wonder that Damn Fatty was willing to sell all these high-quality resources. Chen Bingyu knit her brows and said in a low voice, "Do we need to notify Central State and have them send reinforcements? Haven't you seen the miserable state of the Qing State Army? Miracle Commerce's soldiers are very precious, we can't lose them here." Chu Tian gave a sigh and said in a depressed voice, "I wanted to be low-key this time, but who would have thought that we would encounter this kind of trouble? What do we do? The poison in your body has not been completely removed." Chu Tian said to Chen Bingyu, "We can only go into the city." Chen Bingyu seemed to have forgotten what had just happened as she expressionlessly said, "Go to the main city?" From the situation in the Green Dragon Trail, the snake-scorpion beasts have occupied the Green Ridge for a long time. I think Qing State City is even more anxious than us, so we can only make a move and help them. It was just like what Chu Tian had said. Qing State City was more anxious than anyone else. There were tens of thousands of snake-scorpion beasts in the Green Ridge. These snake-scorpion beasts did not appear in areas where humans were active before, but in the last few months, several thousand snake-scorpion beasts had appeared in the Green Dragon Trail and occupied it. The Green Dragon Trail connected Qing State to the east and west, so the Green Dragon Trail was an important transportation hub. With such an important passage blocked, not only did all the mining stop, it was easy to guess how big of an impact it would have on Qing State. Qing State was naturally very anxious. They gathered troops several times to open the Green Dragon Trail, but they returned in failure every time. Not only did they not destroy the snake-scorpion beasts, they even made the snake-scorpion beasts eat their fill several times, causing Qing State City to suffer heavy losses. This group of snake-scorpion beasts had caused Qing State to lose 40-50,000 elite soldiers. This was why when Thunder State was in trouble, Central State, Southern State, and Qing State could all come to help, but the calm martial ruler's letter only asked for help from Southern State and Central State, not mentioning Qing State at all. This was because Imperial City was clear that Qing State couldn't even protect themselves, so how could they have time to care about Thunder State? When Chu Tian arrived in Qing State City, the entire main city was filled with despair. After last night's fierce battle, Qing State had lost over 2,000 elite soldiers. This was like adding hail to snow to Qing State City, so how could the Qing State citizens be happy? There had been no news from Eastern Qing State for 2 months. Eastern Qing State did not connect to the other areas of Southern Xia, so they relied on the Green Dragon Trail to transport goods. Now that there had been no supplies for 2-3 months, it would be strange if they didn't fall into chaos. Qing State's resources could not be transported out of Qing State, so they were all rotting in their hands. The mines had closed, the factories had closed, and the workers had lost their income. The economy had suffered a large blow and the people had no food to eat, so how could they not rebel? Old Fifth Yu quickly ran in front of Chu Tian. "Chairman, I've found it." "Is that so?" Chu Tian's brows jumped up. "Bring me there." 10 minutes later, Chu Tian walked into a rich merchant's mansion. He saw a group of fierce giant shark gang members wildly smashing things inside. The guards in the mansion were all beaten to the ground and all the maids were kneeling on the ground with pale faces, not even daring to breathe loudly. Scram out. Boss Yu was holding a fellow as fat as a pig as he smashed through the door, slamming into the ground. He pulled out a snow-white long blade from his waist and placed it on the fatty's neck. Chairman, when I found him, he was preparing to run away, so I might as well kill him with a single slash. Who the hell were these people? They actually dared to attack the Shin family's mansion. The Shin family was still a famous family in Qing State. Who are you people? Daring to commit murder in the main city in broad daylight. The fatty Shin Yuan's face was filled with fear. When he raised his swollen face, he saw Chu Tian and Chen Bingyu walk in. You didn't die. Chu Tian said with a cold face, Father didn't die, are you disappointed? It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. The fatty finally knew why these people wanted to beat him up. What happened last night was an accident, I also lost several subordinates. Chu Tian gave a cold snort, is that so? That group of demon beasts doesn't have a regular hunting schedule, sometimes not appearing for 3-5 days. I didn't know that I would be this unlucky, appearing when I was looking at the mines. Humph. Chu Tian walked in front of the fatty. You clearly knew that the Green Dragon Trail was occupied by demon beasts, but you didn't tell me. How do you explain this? Nonsense. If there wasn't a group of demon beasts, why would Father sell the mines to you? Since he bought them at a low price, he naturally had to take the risk. Calm down. Brother Yu, calm down. The fatty gave an embarrassed smile and said, the Green Dragon Trail has stopped production for now, but you have to know that Qing State and Southern Xia will not ignore it. It was only a matter of time before this path was opened and Brother Yu's mines would be worth a lot of money. Even if you don't mine it, you can still sell it for a large profit. Even so, you knew that the mines were dangerous, but you didn't tell us the truth, almost making us lose our lives. Truly hateful, beat him for me. The giant shark gang members began to beat him up. Stop, stop. The fatty cried out, I'll give you another 30 million gold coins as an apology to Brother Yu. The lowest valuation of the mines was 360 million, so selling it to Chu Tian for 150 million was a very low price. Just like the fatty said, the Green Dragon Trail would be opened sooner or later. Qing State had the most resources out of the 8 states, so if Qing State stopped producing resources, it would affect the national strength of Southern Xia, so this could not be allowed to happen. Chu Tian impatiently waved his hand, this fat pig is annoying, lock him up. Spare me, spare me. Old Fifth, you dragged the fat pig that was howling in fear away. Chen Bingyu was a little unhappy, you're letting him go like this? He's just a small character, he shouldn't be trying to harm us. Chu Tian said this and suddenly paused, other than that, I have a plan that this fat pig might be able to help me with. What plan? The Green Dragon Trail has been blocked for 3 months and there are still no signs of it being opened. The Green Ridge Beast disaster is also threatening the city. This has caused Qing State's resources to fall and many mines and forest prices to fall. I think there are many merchants like this fatty that want to sell their properties. Your meaning is that we should take this chance to buy resources. Smart. We didn't bring much money. Can't we earn money without money? Chu Tian gave a laugh, come, let's go to the Marquis Palace. This Greenwood Marquis was truly useless. He couldn't even take care of a few trivial snakes and scorpions. Chapter 247. The eastern part of Qing State's situation was very bad. How could it not be bad? Western Qing State could use the 4 states' lake to transport goods from other states, but eastern Qing State was sealed off to the east of the Green Ridge and had been separated from southern Xia for several months. There were bandits and rebellions everywhere. It was already a miserable situation for the people. Qing State was rich in resources, but it was facing a serious beast disaster. It could be said that there were gains and losses. Chu Tian and Chen Bingyu walked in front of the Marquis Palace. Qing State's Greenwood Marquis was also the mayor, so the Qing State Marquis Palace was the mayor's palace, located in the center of Qing State City. Stop! Several guards raised their weapons. Who are you? Is this a place you can casually enter? Chu Tian softly said, I want to see the Greenwood Marquis. The guard said with a cold smile, who do you think you are to have the qualifications to see the Marquis? I am a foreign merchant. Seeing that Qing State is being attacked by snakes and scorpions, the people have no way to live, so I came here to help. Chu Tian calmly said, please tell the Greenwood Marquis that I have a plan to pass through the Green Dragon Trail. What? With just you? Stop joking. The guards looked at Chu Tian with a cold smile, quickly scram, don't make fun of father. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Chen Bingyu coldly said, the people of Qing State have no way to live and the Greenwood Marquis doesn't even know how to recruit people. The Marquis doesn't know how to use people, no wonder Qing State is in such a mess. Chu Tian was a little surprised. He knew Chen Bingyu's personality. If this woman could say one word, she would not say two. If she could not speak, she would not speak. She was very silent most of the time, but she actually took the initiative to speak for him today. That slap wasn't completely in vain. The Marquis didn't know how to use people, this was a big hat. If this was a normal time, it would not be a big deal, but the problem was that this was a special time. Although the guards did not believe that these two had a good plan, it would damage the Greenwood Marquis reputation. If they were to be punished, these people would not be able to bear the consequences. Alright, I'll tell you the truth. Wanting to see the Greenwood Marquis is impossible because the Greenwood Marquis has already gone to Qing State to quell the chaos, how could he waste time here? What? The Greenwood Marquis was not here. This was something Chu Tian hadn't expected. However, the Green Ridge stretched for 5,000 to 6,000 kilometers, and there were 6 paths in the middle. The largest and most spacious path, the Green Dragon Path, was specially used to transport goods, supplies, and troops. Now that the Azure Dragon Trail was blocked, there were still 5 paths to take. Although these paths were narrow and dangerous, they could still be passed. Eastern Green State was in chaos, so how could they sit back and do nothing? In any case, there was no way to clear the Azure Dragon Trail in the short term. He could only go to the Eastern Azure Province to quell the chaos and slowly think of a solution. If it really did not work out, he would ask for help from the capital. Chu Tian tightly knit his brows. His plans couldn't keep up with the changes and he never thought that the Greenwood Marquis would not be in the Marquis Palace. Who knew when he would return? At this time, a young man in a green robe walked out. This person was dressed luxuriously, and his body was thin. His face was slightly pale, and he looked very weak. However, his pair of narrowed eyes often flashed with a sharp light. It was obvious that he was a hidden expert. Ah! Greetings, Crown Prince. Chu Tian's heart slightly skipped a beat. This was the Greenwood Marquis' successor. The green-robed young man directly ordered, I need large amounts of evil-removing grass, clear flowers, black sludge roots, and rotten corpse grass. Go to the market and buy as many as you can. Yes. It seems like you've already found a way to cure the snake-scorpion's poison. The green-robed young man knit his brows and looked over at Chu Tian with a sharp gaze. Chu Tian ignored the other side's sharp gaze and revealed a mysterious smile. He then added, this method of using poison to cure poison, the idea isn't bad, but it's lacking a bit of maturity. The Greenwood Marquis' successor stared at him, what did you say? Add in some rotten poison fungus juice and you'll be able to create the perfect antidote. As Chu Tian said this, his tone suddenly changed, however, this kind of antidote is meaningless even if it is made. Using poison to cure poison is indeed a high-level alchemy technique, but if you want to use this antidote to solve Qing State City's problem, it is impossible. Wasting time researching this antidote, you really have a pig's brain. How bold! The guards began to tremble in fear. It's over, the successor had been angered. This young man was truly seeking death. The Greenwood Marquis successor flew into a rage. Mr. Chiu is a world-shocking talent, wholeheartedly trying to solve this problem. What kind of thing do you think you are? You actually dare speak nonsense in front of the Marquis Palace and dare insult Mr. Chiu? Someone, immediately capture this madman. Chen Bingyu's eyes flashed with killing intent. It's fine, it's fine. Chu Tian raised his hand to stop her and said with a laugh, I've never been in prison before, so I'll experience it this time. Because before long, there will be people who will personally escort us out. 2 guards came forward to handcuff the 2 of them. Come with me. I can go. Chu Tian said to the Greenwood Marquis successor, remember to pass on my words to that Mr. Chiu. The 2 of them were brought into the Marquis Palace's prison and locked in the same cell. Chen Bingyu's face was filled with displeasure. What kind of person was she? Even the Southern Summer 8 marquises had to give her face, but she had actually fallen to the point of being a prisoner. What? Are you angry? Why don't I directly attack the Marquis Palace? The Greenwood Marquis is not here, so no one can stop me. Chu Tian resentfully said, violence can't solve problems, there's no need to fight and kill. Chen Bingyu looked at him, you're still blaming me for hitting you. No. You don't mean what you say. Alright, I admit I do. Narrow-minded. Your way of thinking is not normal. Chu Tian was puzzled, can't we properly communicate? Chen Bingyu sat cross-legged on the ground with an expressionless face. No one knew what she was thinking under that ice block face. Qing State Marquis Palace. In a certain laboratory. Mr. Chiu, the materials you wanted have been brought back. The Greenwood Marquis successor, Mu Xian, quickly came back. There was a simple gray-clothed old man standing in the laboratory. This person was wearing a normal gray robe and his hair was all white. He had a kind face, but he looked very tired, like he had not rested for several days. Alright, bring it over. Mr. Chiu was a wandering old scholar. When he found out that Qing State was in trouble, he took the initiative to find the Greenwood Marquis. The Greenwood Marquis did not care at first because most of the wandering scholars were mediocre people. However, out of respect for the wise, the Greenwood Marquis had him stay. The result was shocking. The old scholar's knowledge far surpassed the Greenwood Marquis' imagination. In front of him, the famous scholars of Qing State City were like fireflies compared to the sun and the moon. The over 100 scholars of Qing State City had studied the snake-scorpion beast's poison for an entire month without any breakthroughs, but this old scholar had made a breakthrough in just 2 days. Just this point alone was enough to prove that this person was a great talent. The Greenwood Marquis was prepared to personally go to Central State to find the Yun sect master Yun Tianhe to help out in Qing State. After all, Yun Tianhe's knowledge was considered first class in southern Xia, and this wandering scholar's knowledge was not below Yun Tianhe's, which made the Greenwood Marquis very happy. If he could have this old Mr. stay in Qing State City and become a retainer of the Greenwood Marquis, it would be a very fortunate matter for Qing State. Who would have thought that no matter what condition the Greenwood Marquis gave, the old scholar would not show any interest. He just stayed in the laboratory and continued to study the snake-scorpion beast's poison. The Greenwood Marquis saw that the other side did not care about fame, so he could only give up. He would first solve the problem in Qing State. Mr. Chiu nodded and immediately began to mix the medicine. After a series of complicated processes, he had created several different medicines. Now we will begin the 81st detoxification experiment. I asked the successor to record this experiment. Mr. Autumn poured the concocted potion into an observation container. The container contained the snake-scorpion poison's culture liquid. When the potion flowed into the culture liquid, the black liquid quickly weakened. Once it reached a certain level, it could no longer continue. 48% poison remaining, the poison removal effect is weak. Mr. Chiu's 2 snow-white brows knit together, the 81st experiment has failed. Trying to increase the amount of clear sky flowers by 1 unit, 41% poison remaining, the poison removal effect is weak, failure. 45% poison remaining, the poison removal effect is weak, failure. After several experiments, Mu Xian had written several pages of records with a series of blood red, failure, written all over it. The most successful experiment still had over 30% poison remaining, which meant that even if Mr. Chiu found a way to restrain the poison, he could not completely eradicate it. Mr. Chiu said with a worried expression, "It's always lacking a little bit, but where is it lacking?" "Lacking a bit of heat." When Mu Xian heard this, a light flashed in his mind and he asked, "Mr. Chiu, would adding a little bit of the rotting poison fungus have a better effect?" Rotten poison fungus? Rotten poison fungus? The nature of the rotten poison fungus is... That's right. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. This is truly wonderful. Mr. Chiu revealed a look of wild joy. Why didn't he think of this? Quickly, prepare some rotten poison fungus. Mr. Chiu added a small amount of rotten poison fungus juice and refined the medicine according to the original recipe. When the newly refined medicine was poured into the petri dish from the tube, the jet-black petri dish suddenly disintegrated at an extremely fast speed. After about 4 to 5 seconds, the originally jet-black liquid had already become as clear as water. Success. He really succeeded. The poison remaining is less than 1%. The poison removal effect is very strong. This is the antidote we were looking for. Mr. Chiu looked at Mu Xian with a new level of respect. This is truly surprising. The Greenwood Marquis successor is so young, yet he has such extraordinary alchemy attainments and vision. It really is the Greenwood Marquis blessing and Southern Xia's blessing. This old man's eyes are blind. Mu Xian revealed an embarrassed look. Mr. Chiu has misunderstood. I don't understand alchemy. Chapter 248. Don't be so humble. I'm really not being humble. Master Autumn did not believe it at all. According to this old man's research, the snake scorpion's poison is different from the normal poison. This poison is formed by nourishing the snake scorpion's microorganisms. It is a complex biological poison. So what? Mu Xian couldn't understand at all. Biological toxins aren't like ordinary toxins. Even the tiniest creature will have the behavior of seeking benefits and avoiding harm. This meant that deciphering potions alone would not be able to effectively eliminate these poisonous creatures. That's why I created the method of fighting poison with poison. However, things didn't go as smoothly as I imagined. This is because after the snake scorpion's poison is attacked by the antidote, it will immediately become lazy from its active state. This is why every experiment can't completely remove the poison. But Mu Xian was a bit surprised. What does this have to do with the rotten poison fungus? Of course it's related. The rotten poison fungus itself is a kind of mild poison. Its main effect is to stimulate the body and make it maintain an abnormally strong activity. Humans who are poisoned by a large amount of the rotten poison fungus will go crazy and die. If a small amount is used in the antidote, not only can it strengthen the antidote's vitality, it can also restrain the snake scorpion venom's ability to become inert, thus quickly eliminating it in one go. The more Master Autumn spoke, the more excited he became. This is not the most amazing part. Among the thousands of medicines in the world, only the rotten poison fungus can be perfectly compatible with the refining formula. I can completely refine it without changing the refining array. Mr. Chiu's face was filled with excitement as he grabbed Mu Xian's arm. I dare say that there are less than 3 people in Southern Xia who could think of this. You are very talented and you will have great accomplishments in the future. Just your vision alone will make all the famous scholars blush with shame. This. Mu Xian wished he had thought of this himself. It really wasn't me. Don't be so humble. Master Autumn was not happy. You have been observing my experiments for the past few days. You are familiar with my experimental methods and the refining array. Only you can think of the rotting poison fungus. Otherwise, even the most powerful scholar would not be able to tell if I am refining a tonic or a poison without seeing the refining array. But he was able to distinguish it. Why do you say that? Master Autumn, I will not hide it from you. Mu Xian gave a bitter laugh. When I ordered people to buy herbs, I met an arrogant young man who said he was a foreign merchant. When I heard the list of materials, I casually mentioned it, and I remembered it. What? Master Autumn's face changed. From the list of materials, you know how to perfect the formula. Impossible. Let's not talk about whether or not he has studied the snake-scorpion venom. Even if he has, how would he know what kind of medicine I'm refining from just a few sets of materials? How would he be able to determine the type of medicine I'm refining? This is simply impossible. That person was dressed like a merchant. At that time, I didn't believe that he had such an ability. Mu Xian gave a sigh. What is even more unbearable is that this person is extremely arrogant, saying some disrespectful words. Say what? This, feel free to speak your mind. He insulted Master Autumn and said that you have a pig's brain. Master Autumn frowned and almost jumped in anger. He said that everything Master Autumn did was a waste of effort and was meaningless. Mu Xian looked at Mr. Chio's face and quickly added in a low voice, I saw that this person was too wild, so I ordered people to capture him. There really was this kind of person. Master Autumn thought that Mu Xian was hiding his abilities, but this was the only possibility. The so-called onlookers had a clearer view. Mu Xian had been observing for several days, so he had a certain understanding of the antidote, the snake-scorpion venom, and the refining method. Occasionally, he would have a flash of inspiration and hit the mark. Although it was not simple, it was not strange. If an outsider was able to use a list of materials and not even a complete list of materials to deduce the usage and refining formula, then it would be too terrifying. Master Autumn had looked through countless books. He had never seen any records of his ancestors. This snake-scorpion venom should have no antidote. Could he have met an incomparable genius? Bring me to take a look. The two of them entered the prison cell. A young man dressed as a merchant was sitting in the cold and damp prison cell. With a calm expression, a snow-white little fox stood up from his shoulder with a pair of eyes filled with ridicule. There was also a black-veiled woman with a good figure standing on the side like a statue, not saying a word. 4 hours and 32 minutes. The young man slowly opened his eyes, too slow. This, Mu Xian and Master Autumn looked at each other with wide eyes. This fellow seemed to have guessed that the two of them would come to find him. You are Master Autumn. Chu Tian did not even look at Mu Xian. His dark eyes that were like stars looked at the old man beside him. I can answer one of your questions. Ask away. A strong intuition appeared. Master Autumn felt like he had met a true expert. He was silent for a few seconds before saying, this Chio is not talented, but thanks to Mr.'s reminder, I was able to refine the snake-scorpion venom antidote that can completely cure the snake-scorpion venom. Only Mr. doesn't seem to care about this antidote. Could it be that this antidote can't solve Qing State's problems? I said that you have a pig's brain, that's not wrong at all. Do you still not understand? Mu Xian flew into a rage, how bold. Master Autumn's face also sunk. It had been a long time since someone dared to talk to him like this in southern Xia. If this fellow couldn't explain himself, how could he be convinced? This antidote has at least 4 serious flaws. Have you never thought about it? Master Autumn calmly said, I have never thought about it. I asked Mr. to explain. The first flaw. Chu Tian stretched out a finger and slowly said in a slow voice, you've studied the snake-scorpion venom and this is a strong poison. Does Master Autumn agree with this? That's right. Since it is a strong poison, it will instantly activate. The snake-scorpion venom's effect is paralysis. In other words, the poisoned person will instantly lose consciousness. Do you agree with this? This is indeed a characteristic of the snake-scorpion venom. Then I find it strange. If the soldiers are poisoned while fighting the snake-scorpion beasts, do you think they can stop to detoxify themselves? Do you think they have time to detoxify themselves? This, That's right. This poison had such a strong reaction. There was nothing to say about detoxifying themselves, but how could they detoxify themselves in an intense battle? The second flaw. Chu Tian stretched out another finger. Using poison to fight poison is a high-level detoxification method, but using it here is just trying to be smart. It is simply stupid. What's wrong with this Chio's method? Mr. Autumn knit his brows. Please enlighten me. The snake scorpion venom is a biological poison and will quickly multiply in the human body. This makes the amount of detoxification very important. If the amount is too small, it will not detoxify the venom, and if the amount is too large, the antidote will settle down and become a poison. Do you agree with this point? Mr. Autumn opened his mouth and finally understood the meaning behind Chu Tian's words. The poison in the dish is constant and you have been making poisons in the laboratory, so naturally you can detoxify the poison, but have you considered the actual situation? When the poisonous microorganisms enter the body, the speed at which they multiply and spread is closely related to one's body and strength. This is something that is hard to measure. Chu Tian's words mercilessly attacked, only considering the effect of the medicine and not the actual situation. This is a complete failure. You are simply an unworthy alchemist. Mr. Autumn revealed a look of guilt. The third flaw. Chu Tian stretched out a third finger. The snake scorpion venom is a continuous attack, and once the poison covers the human body, they will be constantly infected. What use is an antidote to instantly detoxify the poison? There is no meaning in using it on the spot. This medicine does not cure the root of the poison. It will cure the poison once, but it will cause a new poison. Does Mr. Autumn agree with this? Mr. Autumn was already stunned. The fourth flaw. Chu Tian looked over Mr. Autumn several times. Mr. Autumn's background is not ordinary, so you should have been living in a large noble family. Nonsense. Mu Xian was very dissatisfied with Chu Tian's attitude. He finally found a chance and immediately refuted. Mr. Autumn is clearly a wandering scholar. Mu Xian. Mr. Autumn gave a low roar. There was actually a dignified feeling that made Mu Xian's body tremble. Mu Xian could clearly feel that Mr. Autumn's aura was not inferior to his father's. Could Mr. Autumn's wandering scholar status be a disguise, and he really was a large character, a scholar from a large kingdom? It seems like my guess is correct. Chu Tian softly said, it's no wonder. Mr. Autumn's medicine, although the effect is passable, the cost is very high and the market cannot buy it on a large scale. It is already difficult to refine several hundred to over 1,000 pills, so how would you use this medicine to equip an army? With these 4 points, this medicine is useless and only exists in name. Does Mr. Autumn agree? Although this person's tone was not polite. But with these 4 flaws pointed out, it could be said that he had hit the nail on the head. This old man has been busy for many days and consumed countless resources, but in the end, it's like drawing water with a wicker basket. Mr. Autumn gave a long sigh. Mr. Autumn's words are sharp and have enlightened this Chiu. Mu Xian said in a daze, is there really no other way? There are many ways, I can help you. Chu Tian slowly said, of course, I'm not doing any voluntary work, so you should give me a bit of compensation. How much money do you want? 200 million should be enough. Chu Tian said this and then suddenly emphasized, but this one has been imprisoned for no reason, so I have to compensate a bit for the psychological damage. I think we should double it. 500 million isn't much, right? What? 500 million. That wasn't fucking much. 500 million is already emptying half of the Marquis Palace's treasury. Just how greedy is this? Mu Xian angrily gritted his teeth. You are both scholars, but Mr. Autumn has traveled thousands of miles to help Qing State for free, but you are taking this chance to extort him. Where is the character of a scholar? I respect the character of a scholar, but I am not a scholar. Chu Tian shook his beautiful robe. Look, I am just a merchant that won't do anything without profit. I've taken money from others to help them solve their problems, that's all. 500 million gold coins to solve Qing State's problem is just a small business to me. Whether or not you take out this money is up to you. If Mr. can solve Qing State's problem. Mr. Autumn's eyes sparkled a few times. Even if the Greenwood Marquis doesn't take out this money, this old man will. This was not a small amount of money. This was an entire 500 million gold coins. Even the Marquis Palace of Qing State would have to cut off a piece of their flesh to take out this amount. This Mr. Autumn did not even bat an eye. Just what kind of god was he? Chapter 249. He never saw it before, but this old man was this rich. Taking out 500 million without even blinking his eyes, the only thing missing was the words, "A fool with too much money," written on his face. This old man was even richer than the Southern Summer 8 marquises. If he knew this earlier, he would have asked for 1 billion. It was a pity, a pity. Chu Tian's intestines turned green with regret. 100 million gold coins was enough to buy a pretty good sacred herb. 500 million gold coins was enough to buy a high-grade sacred herb. Loss, this was too much of a loss. If we can use 500 million to save Qing State, it's not like the Qing State Marquis Palace can't pay it. Mu Xian gritted his teeth like he was going all out, but how do I know you're not lying to me? You don't believe in my strength? I've been idle for half a day and I've already thought of a way to cure the snake-scorpion beast's poison. Chu Tian took out a piece of paper from who knows where. Without even looking at Mu Xian, he threw it at Mr. Chiu. What does Mr. Chiu think? There was no laboratory. There was no experiment. He could think of a way to cure it in less than half a day. Wasn't this just nonsense? If the snake-scorpion beast's poison was that easy to cure, then all the scholars in Qing State should commit suicide. Mr. Chiu did not believe it at all because he did not dare believe it. How could there be this kind of monstrous genius in this world? The snake-scorpion beast's poison was a kind of complex biological poison and the poison was made up of microorganisms. The most troublesome part was not killing the microorganisms, but rather that the microorganisms were very adaptable. They could change according to different stimuli and an effective antidote could be useless in the next moment. Because of this, Mr. Chiu thought of an extreme solution, which was to use poison to fight poison. He used poison to kill the poisonous microorganisms and finally created an antidote, but it was proven to be useless. It could not solve Qing State's problem at all. Their expressions were all seen by Chu Tian. This couldn't be blamed on them. They were just a few country bumpkins, how could they have seen the world? Not to mention a trivial level 1 poisonous demon beast, even if it was a level 3 or 5 demon beast, Chu Tian had already studied it. These little snakes and scorpions were nothing in Chu Tian's eyes. Everything in the world has a natural counter to each other. Although the snake-scorpion beasts are poisonous, they cannot dominate the forest. Have you not thought about this problem before? Chu Tian looked at Mu Xian with a look of disdain. The snake-scorpion beasts also have natural enemies. For them to suddenly appear in the Green Dragon Pass, there is only one reason and that is because they were chased out of their former territory by other demon beasts. Mu Xian knit his brows. So what? The wisdom of humans is limited after all. Since the wisdom of mortals can't fight against nature, why not follow the will of the heavens and borrow power from nature? Why not find a way to deal with the snake-scorpion beasts from their enemies? To think that you've been in Qing province for so many years, yet you can't even think of this. Master Autumn frowned as he studied the contents of the paper. At first, he was confused, then solemn, and finally, he came to a sudden realization. In the end, Master Autumn's expression was filled with unprecedented shock and shock. His body could not help but tremble. His originally pale face turned red as if he had seen a shocking secret. A tattered piece of paper. At this moment, it was as heavy as 10,000 caddies. This was not a piece of paper, it was a method to save the common people and benefit the people. Mu Xian saw this knowledgeable old scholar's expression change several times in just a few seconds. He couldn't help asking in a worried voice, "Mr. Autumn. Are you all right?" Master Autumn did not say anything else. He waved his hand. It was like a sharp axe smashing an iron lock. His 2 hands pulled. The cell's door was sent flying several meters away, falling at the end of the corridor. It was crushed by the wild strength and turned into fragments. Mu Xian was stunned. This old man couldn't have gone crazy, right? You brat. Master Autumn angrily looked at Mu Xian, treating a virtuous person like this. If it wasn't for the greenwood marquis face, this old man would have chopped you in half with a single palm. Mu Xian almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Was this old man really crazy? This polite and calm old man was looking at him like he had killed his father. Mu Xian did not doubt that if it wasn't for his father, this old man would have chopped him in half with a single palm. What was going on here? Mu Xian had not offended him over the past few days and had even treated him with respect. This old man's reaction was too extreme. Mr. is truly a genius. The old man helped Chu Tian up and gave him 3 deep bows. This Chiu is convinced. Chen Bingyu was a bit stunned seeing this. This old man was definitely not a simple person, this reaction was a bit too big. Chu Tian patted his robe and spoke in a lukewarm voice, you can understand it, which means it's not bad. If you have anything you want to ask, then ask. This kind of detoxification method, this old man has never heard of it before. It's just a simple and crude method to make a vaccine. Vaccine? What was a vaccine? Mu Xian was not proficient in alchemy, but he had never eaten pork before. He had never seen a pig run before, so this was something he had never heard of before. Could it be a new kind of technology? From Master Autumn's intense reaction, this technology was not simple at all. Chu Tian said in a calm voice, the snake-scorpion beasts are not rampant in the Green Ridge, which means that the Green Ridge has a natural enemy of the snake-scorpion beasts and there is more than one. These creatures can hunt and eat the snake-scorpion beasts without being poisoned, which means that they have antibodies to the virus. My method is actually very simple. It is to take the blood of the creatures in the Green Ridge and extract the antibodies of the virus. Through a refining array, it will allow the antibodies to adapt to the body, allowing it to resist the poison. This kind of method is truly unprecedented, something this old man has never seen before. Master Autumn said in a very excited voice, the continent's alchemists have always used the right method to cure the poison, they have never used this kind of drastic method. That's just you being ignorant. Chu Tian did not give him any face, as far as I know, the elves have already developed a vaccine to counter the poison. Who knew about the elves? Southern Xia was just a small country on the continent. Master Autumn did not doubt Chu Tian's identity as a foreign merchant, otherwise how could he know this method? This method of extracting antibodies from the demon beast blood and transforming the antibodies into something suitable for the human body was a milestone for Southern Xia and even most human countries. Master Autumn said in an excited voice, we will extract the antibodies from the blood-spotted lizards and the snake-scorpion beast's poison will greatly reduce our army's threat, allowing us to win in one fell swoop. My method can only make the blood-spotted lizard antibodies last for a while, but because the human body is different from the blood-spotted lizards, the antibodies will weaken over time. How long can it last? It's more than enough to last 3 days. 3 days was more than enough to eliminate the snake-scorpion beasts in the Green Dragon Trail. Even if Mu Xian was not convinced by Chu Tian, he had to admit that this young man who was around the same age as him was truly a genius. I've already given you my method. The first thing Chu Tian did when he came out was ask, when will the money I want arrive? Relax, Mr.'s reward will not be a single copper coin less. This old man still has many questions about the vaccine serum, so I hope Mr. will be generous with your guidance. Master Autumn said this and suddenly felt that Mu Xian was in the way, so he immediately said to him, go and make the blood-spotted lizard serum, the more the better. Mu Xian helplessly left. Master Autumn asked a large number of questions on the way. Chu Tian was not stingy and answered all the questions he asked. Master Autumn was becoming more and more shocked, feeling that the person in front of him was unfathomable. This was a feeling that Master Autumn had never felt before. Unfathomable. Truly unfathomable. When Master Autumn faced this young foreign merchant, he felt like he was facing a vast ocean or an endless starry sky. When Master Autumn was young, he had spent 20 years studying and had reached an incomparably strong ancient empire. That was an experience that Master Autumn could never forget. Those scholars of the empire, those sages of the empire, they had profound knowledge that made Master Autumn sigh. But even when he faced the scholars of the empire, he did not have this kind of feeling. This person was asking for 500 million gold coins to save Qing's state. Was he greedy? No. Just based on the concept and method of making a vaccine to restrain poison, it was worth 10 times the reward. Master Autumn believed that as long as they studied the source energy array left by Chu Tian, they would be able to create a vaccine against poison beasts. At that time, how many people would benefit from this? How many areas that had been plagued by poisonous creatures could be saved? Saying that he was a world savior was not just flattery. What country did this person come from? Master Autumn kept asking, but Chu Tian pretended to be deaf and mute. Seeing that he did not want to reveal anything, Master Autumn could only helplessly give up. What Master Autumn was most concerned about was naturally the development of an anti-poison vaccine. Chu Tian personally helped. He first took the blood-spotted lizard serum and used an array to extract it, obtaining the antibodies against the snake-scorpion beasts. Of course, this could not be used to directly inject it, otherwise people would die. Chu Tian added several common anti-poison materials and used an array to refine it. Finally he obtained a light yellow injection drug. Let's begin the test. Gu Qianqiu found a poisoned soldier and injected the drug into his body. In less than 5 minutes, the dying soldier's divine sense had recovered and there was nothing wrong with him at all. Gu Qianqiu extracted his blood for testing. The snake-scorpion beast's poison concentration is 0. We've succeeded. We've really succeeded. This problem that had troubled Qing's state for 3 months had been solved in just half a day. The snake-scorpion beasts were not strong, so if they could restrain their poison, there was nothing to worry about. The Marquis Palace quickly gathered large amounts of materials and began to make the anti-poison vaccine. Mu Xian was an honest person, taking the initiative to take out 500 million gold coins. After all, Master Autumn had nothing to do with Qing's state. Coming to Qing's state to help was a righteous act, so how could they let Master Autumn spend money for Qing's state? When Chu Tian brought back a box of gold coins, he proudly showed it off in front of Chen Bingyu. You should believe me now, right? Chen Bingyu was speechless. This fellow really knew how to make money. Chu Tian said to Chen Bingyu, the virus vaccine has not been released yet, so we need to spend the 500 million in Qing's state within 2-3 days. Chapter 250. How rich was the Green Ridge? Of the 8 states' resources, Qing's state had 50% and Qing's state's resources were 80%. Now that the lifeline of the Green Ridge, the Green Dragon Trail, had been blocked for 3 months, countless companies could not transport resources. If they couldn't deliver on time, the compensation would make them cry to death. Not to mention the wages of their employees, the cultivation expenses of their families, and the maintenance of their factories. It was hard to estimate the losses of 3 months. Chu Tian didn't have any shortcomings, but he couldn't change the fact that he loved to do good and help others. Now that he saw that the tens of thousands of workers in Qing's state could not get their wages and the families of Qing's state's companies were struggling, he felt that it was time to make a move. That damn fatty Xin Yuan would play a very important role. This was also the reason why Chu Tian kept him alive. Come out. Old Fifth, you dragged the bruised fatty out. Do you know why I kept you alive? That's because the chairman gave you a chance to make up for your mistakes. The fatty was shocked and afraid. What kind of background did these people have? Old Fifth, you looked like a small leader, but he actually had the strength of a true soul realm expert. How could he dare fight against them? If he was killed by them, he would have died in vain. A box of gold cards was placed in front of him. This. The fatty had never seen this much cash before. Masters, what do you want from me? I won't beat around the bush. Chu Tian crossed his legs in front of him. I know that many companies in Qing State are selling their resource fields at low prices. This 500 million is to buy them, do you understand what I mean? This fatty was not stupid, he knew that Chu Tian wanted him to run errands, but... Old Fifth Yu fiercely said, what but? Although the Green Ridge is rich in resources, most of them are in the hands of Qing State families. Even if Qing State's resources are not good, they might not sell them. After all, their roots are in Qing State. The roots of the Qing State families were in Qing State, they could not leave as they pleased. Even if it was difficult, even if it was the end, they might not sell their ancestral property. After all, not everyone was like this fatty, they could just leave whenever they wanted. Then again, how many mines could they buy with 500 million gold coins? If Chu Tian bought too many resource fields, it would attract the attention of the Greenwood Marquis. After all, this was Qing State's wealth, and if it fell into the hands of outsiders, the Greenwood Marquis would not ignore it. Chu Tian said, in 3 days, I want you to contact the person in charge of each resource field. Mine, forest, herb farm, no matter what resource field it is, as long as it has good quality resources, I want it. If you don't want to acquire it, you have to become a shareholder. You have to have at least 20% of the shares. Do you understand what I mean? Only a share, not a controlling stake. If that was the case, it would be easier to negotiate. Chen Bingyu thought to herself, this Chu Tian really has the potential to be a profiteer. The 500 million gold coins were not used to purchase the shares, but to infiltrate the shares. Chu Tian did not have enough manpower in his mines. Would he be able to manage them if he bought another 8 or 10 mines? Instead of that, it was better to invest money everywhere. The management rights would continue to be handed over to the local families, and Miracle Commerce would be a shareholder. Chu Tian's way of doing things was to take advantage of Qing State's crisis. It would be hard to invest in a normal situation, and the amount would be very large. Now that the companies and families were suffering heavy losses, they needed a large amount of money. Chu Tian's money could solve this problem, so even if they were cheated, they could only pinch their noses and accept it. The main mines and resources of the Green Ridge would all be infiltrated into Chu Tian's shares. Miracle Commerce's influence in the Green Dragon Trail would increase by a large amount. These resource fields would give priority to Miracle Commerce, creating a very solid resource channel and making up for Miracle Commerce's shortcomings. I'll leave this matter to you. Chu Tian gave this matter to Chen Bingyu. We'll use the name of purchasing to become a shareholder. We won't control these resource fields, but rather will spread our influence across the Green Ridge. Yes. Chen Bingyu left after receiving this order. Chen Bingyu was a strong person, and with the local Xin Yuan pulling the strings, Chu Tian did not need to personally make a move. He immediately moved into the Marquis Palace and helped with the production of the antivirus vaccine. Mr. Chiu seized this golden opportunity. He would always ask questions and Chu Tian would always answer them. In just a short 3 days, Mr. Chiu felt like his outlook on life had been turned upside down. At first he asked questions about vaccines, then he asked about medicines, and finally he asked about alchemy. He even asked about arrays and other fields. He even took out problems that he couldn't solve after studying for many years. What made Mr. Chiu shocked and filled with despair was that these problems weren't even worth a fart in Chu Tian's eyes. This was too shocking. Was there really a self-taught genius in this world? 3 days quickly passed. These were Mr. Chiu's happiest 3 days. The problems that had troubled him for over 10 years had been solved, and the things that he couldn't understand in the past had now been solved. In just a short 3 days of conversation, it was better than 10 years of studying. These were also Chu Tian's happiest 3 days. Chen Bingyu's reports kept coming in. The forest, the medicine fields, the mines, and all kinds of resource fields were bought at very low prices. There were over 100 resource fields in the Green Ridge that had all been taken over by Chu Tian's money. With all these resources being sold, not only did they not have a premium, they had been cut in half. It was hard to imagine. The fatty's ability to cheat people was not shallow. In order to prevent the fatty from being chased all over the world in a few days, Chu Tian gave him the authority to manage the Qing State area's resources. After all, he was a Qing State native, so it would be much easier for him to coordinate things. Since it was a success, then it was time to pack up and leave. Chu Tian's time was very precious, so how could he waste it in Qing State? He went to find Mu Xian and asked him to send troops to deal with the beast disaster. No. We've only made 1,500 vaccines. Mu Xian shook his head and said, we can only equip 1,000 people, how can we deal with the large-scale snake-scorpion army? The market is running out of materials, so I've already sent people to buy them from other places. If we wait for my Lord Father to return, it will take at least a month. A month? You aren't joking, right? Chu Tian almost wanted to curse out. That's fine, he would help him to the end. Chu Tian solemnly said, give me 1,000 elite troops and I'll help you eliminate the snake-scorpion beasts. What nonsense are you saying? There are at least 3,000 snake-scorpion beasts. Mu Xian's spit flew as he said, even if the vaccine can resist the poison, the snake-scorpion beasts are very cunning. They have a battle strength of around the 7th to 8th body refinement layer, so a trivial 1,000 people is not enough to deal with them. Without 5 times that number, I will not make a move. Moreover, the Qing State troops are under my Lord Father's orders. Now that my Lord Father has not returned, how can I make a move? That's right, if we don't remove the roots, there will be endless troubles in the future. Mr. Chiu also tried to persuade Chu Tian, even if we send out the most elite storm cavalry, we can't guarantee that we can kill all the snake-scorpion beasts. The Green Dragon Trail is narrow and filled with snake-scorpion tunnels, so it is not good for cavalry. When the time comes, there will be heavy casualties. These two fellows had wooden heads. They were truly hopeless. Could they not think of a way? Has the successor ever thought of a problem? Chu Tian said to Mu Xian, the Greenwood Marquis halo is too bright. If the Greenwood Marquis comes back to deal with the Green Ridge beast disaster, perhaps everyone will give the credit to the Greenwood Marquis. Could it be that the successor is working for nothing? Could it be that the successor doesn't want to create a miracle all by himself? Create a miracle all by himself? This was not a small enticement. I asked the successor to be assured. I won't do anything I don't have confidence in. Chu Tian confidently said, I have my own methods. As long as they cooperate with me, there is nothing to fear about these snake-scorpion beasts. Oh. Mr. Chiu's eyes lit up. How does Mr. Yu plan on dealing with the snake-scorpion beasts? The snake-scorpion beasts are just low-level demon beasts with low intelligence. If they don't come out, can't we use a trap to lure them out? What trap? I've invented a beast luring array. Chu Tian took out a prepared source energy array. This can simulate an aura, pheromone, or a call. It can lure the snake-scorpion beasts out and lure them into a trap. How could there be this kind of source energy array in this world? When Mr. Chiu saw this never-before-seen source energy array, he was once again deeply shocked. This kind of source energy array to the mercenary industry, it was simply priceless. Mercenaries always used themselves as bait when hunting demon beasts, constantly paying with their lives. If they could use a source energy array to replace it, how convenient would that be? The most important point was, this source energy array was very specific. It would only attract one kind of demon beast and would not attract any random demon beasts. It would save them the trouble of finding demon beasts, saving them a lot of time and energy. Mu Xian was still not assured. Even if we have a way to attract the snake-scorpion beasts, we only have a trivial 1,000 soldiers, how can we kill them all? Humans have weak bodies, so we do not have any advantage against demon beasts. Not to mention 3 times our numbers. A single beast luring array is naturally not enough. Chu Tian had already thought about it. I've been observing the weather recently and there is a large killing array that can be arranged in the near future. We'll first arrange an array in the trap and then use the beast luring array to attract the snake-scorpion beasts. Then we'll use the array to kill most of the snake-scorpion beasts. Then we'll use our elite troops to attack, easily solving this problem. Mr. Chiu became more excited the more he heard. Mu Xian was filled with hesitation. Pa! Do it or not, just say it. Chu Tian slapped the table. If we do it, we'll eliminate the beast disaster in 2 days and the successor will become a hero to the people of Qing State. If we don't do it, father will leave Qing State tomorrow. You just need to wait for the Greenwood Marquis to return and then prepare for a month before going to the mountains to fight the snake-scorpion beasts. It had already been 3 months. Qing State was already filled with complaints. Not to mention a month, it was hard to estimate the losses every day. Mu Xian was even more excited about his reputation. If he could escape his father's halo and solve the Qing State disaster by himself, his reputation would explode. Mr. Chiu's meaning is? I believe Mr. Yu. Good. Mu Xian tightly clenched his fist and slammed the table. Gather the troops. Do it. Chapter 251. The exit of the Green Dragon Trail was a small basin. There were no snake-scorpion beasts in this area and it was quite wide, making it suitable for ambushing the snake-scorpion beasts. Mu Xian led the elites to clear the area, setting up heavy crossbows and various traps. Of course, these were just auxiliary arrangements. To deal with the snake-scorpion beasts, they still had to rely on Chu Tian. Mr. Chiu, this is the array design. Chu Tian brought Mr. Chiu and over 100 array masters to the area. You have around a day to prepare the array. You have to finish it in time to avoid delaying the plan. Mr. Chiu opened the scroll to take a look. See. He instantly sucked in a cold breath. The complexity of the array design surpassed his imagination. It could cover an area of over 200 meters, it was definitely a giant source energy array. Mr. Chiu had seen a few large-scale source energy arrays in a large kingdom. Most of them were sects protective array or cities protective array. This kind of array was large and its might was not bad, but the cost and consumption were astronomical. Those large city protecting arrays would consume over 1,000 high-grade source stones every time they were used. The price of a high-grade primordial stone was roughly equivalent to more than 1 million gold coins. If converted into gold coins, the cost of such a large-scale formation could easily be hundreds of millions, billions, or even more, not to mention the time and cost of the construction process. How could Qing State use this kind of large array? The small southern summer country did not have any source stones, but source stones were the most basic material for large-scale arrays. This was because energy was always constant and if there was not enough energy to maintain the array, how could it have a strong might? No matter how strong a person was, they could not make something out of nothing. Gu Qianqiu could not see what kind of array it was, but he could see that this large-scale array was made up of over 100 small-scale arrays. Chu Tian's source energy array design far surpassed that of this era's 10,000 years. Whether it was a master like Yun Tianhe or a noob like Meng Yingying, they could all see the extraordinary characteristics of Chu Tian's source energy array with a single glance. It did not adhere to the existing rules at all, it had already reached an artistic level. It was 100 times more perfect than the standard array designs in textbooks. Master Chiu was knowledgeable, but it was difficult for him to see through the mysteries of the array. Although he had learned from many famous array masters, none of them could compare to this person. It was not an exaggeration to call him a prodigy of all ages. Chu Tian seemed to have considered the problem of cost, so he forcefully divided the source energy array into over 100 units. This way, the array within the array would reduce the consumption and the cultivator would release their spirit energy to maintain the normal operation of each unit, displaying the overall effect of the array. The budget for setting up this array formation was only about 50 million gold coins. Compared to the mountain guarding arrays and city guarding arrays, the consumption was only a fraction of that. The cheapest cost, the most perfect formation. It could be said to be a classic work handed down from generation to generation. What made Master Autumn's hair stand on end was the fact that the array was in perfect harmony with the terrain. In other words, Chu Tian didn't copy it from an ancient book or somewhere else. Instead, it was an impromptu modification or even creation based on the current situation. Master Autumn's heart skipped a few beats. A normal array master might not even be able to design a small array in half a year, but Chu Tian was able to complete the large array in a single night. He did not even need to think about it, it was as simple as drinking water. This was an unprecedented miracle. What are you staring at? Chu Tian looked up at the sky and suddenly knit his brows. How about this, before the sun rises tomorrow, if you can finish the array, I'll give you the design. Yes. 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 I promise I'll complete this task. Master Autumn felt all the pores on his body relax and his eyes seemed like they were spitting out flames. The design in his hand was a priceless treasure. If he took it to a large country and found a suitable buyer, this design would bring him a considerable amount of source stones. Of course. Using money to measure it was too vulgar. The wisdom contained in this array was enough for Master Autumn to spend the rest of his life studying it. As for who Master Autumn was, Chu Tian wasn't sure, but his knowledge should not be weaker than Yun Tianhe's. This kind of scholar was hard to find in southern Xia, so with him personally leading over 100 array masters, Chu Tian didn't have anything to worry about. Now he had to prepare the beast-luring array. The snake-scorpion beast was very sinister and did not normally move alone, so it was very hard to capture them. For this plan to succeed, they needed an effective beast-luring array. This beast-luring array would only be perfected after 5,000 years. Actually, the beast-luring array's principle was not complicated. It was nothing more than an array based on the habits of the demon beasts, confusing and luring the demon beasts. The beast-luring array was different. There were some that created false pheromones, like a mating signal, a friend's distress signal, or a leader's summon. Or they could create a predator's aura to provoke them, or they could create a prey's aura to attract them. There were many different methods, but they all had the same goal, which was to attract the prey. Of course, the beast-luring array was not effective on all demon beasts. Some magical beasts with higher intelligence or strong insight might be able to see through the bait formation. But it was clear that the snake-scorpion beast did not belong to this category. Chu Tian calculated the time. The last time the snake-scorpion beasts came out in groups had been several days, so the snake-scorpion beasts should be hungry by now. They would probably start hunting in the next 2 days, so he would use a group of prey to attract the snake-scorpion beasts. The next day, the sky was overcast with flashes of lightning and a light rain began to fall. This was not good weather, but it was suitable for fighting the snake-scorpion beasts because the rain would suppress the poison mist. The large array was set up. Qing State's elite soldiers entered the field one after another. There was no meaning in cavalry ambushing and there weren't enough vaccines to inject into the horses. There were 2,000 cavalry archers that were responsible for sweeping the rear. Mu Xian chose over 1,000 heavy armored infantry to enter the field. This was Qing State's strongest heavy infantry, so their battle strength could not be underestimated. Mr. Chiu and over 100 array masters were in place, ready to activate the large source energy array at any time. Chu Tian stood in the center of the array, in charge of the large array. Was it really effective? How could this small number of people deal with this many snake-scorpion beasts? The soldiers had no confidence in their hearts. It's done. Chu Tian said to Mu Xian, inject everyone with the snake-scorpion beast's poison vaccine. Everyone pay attention. Mu Xian was covered in armor, looking heroic as he raised the flag, inject the vaccine and prepare for battle. The 1,000 heavy armored soldiers and over 100 array masters inject the vaccine and each person had a slight reaction. This thing did not belong to the human body, so even if it was refined, there would still be some side effects. However, it was still within an acceptable range and would not affect the battle. At this time, the sky was getting darker and the sun was already setting. The rain was becoming heavier and heavier. The snake-scorpion beasts would not move during the day, and now was the time. Chu Tian ordered, "Open the beast-luring array." Mr. Chiu personally activated the source energy array and an invisible energy suddenly covered the area. Prepare the two sides. The heavy armored soldiers were split into two groups, with one side having 500 people. They held a large black shield in one hand and a large blade in the other, standing in the concealment array. This array was something that Chu Tian had personally requested, mainly to create a better surprise attack. The snake-scorpion beasts would not be able to sense their auras. When the beast-luring array was completely activated, the invisible aura was accompanied by the cries of over 1,000 wild deers, constantly being released from the beast-luring array into the dark valley. It was almost able to cover half of the Green Dragon Trail Valley. Si. A black fog quickly came out of the dark valley. Large amounts of scarlet eyes appeared. The snake-scorpion beasts had not hunted for several days, so when the hungry beasts felt the enticing aura of prey, they immediately flooded out of the valley. This is bad. The poison fog is here. The snake-scorpion beasts had not even come close when the thick poison fog floated over. Even the rain could not stop it from spreading. Each soldier's heart was filled with nervousness. Would the antidote vaccine work? If it didn't work, they would be dead. Everyone stay still for me. Mu Xian shouted in a low voice, anyone who moves will be killed. When the poison fog passed through their bodies, they felt a burning sensation on their skin and their blood vessels seemed like they were burning. However, they did not lose their ability to resist due to the numbness. It really worked. The snake-scorpion beast poison did not poison anyone. As for the burning sensation, everyone here was a soldier, so they still had this bit of willpower. The snake-scorpion beasts had harmed Qing's state for a long time, so everyone wanted to skin them alive. Now that such a good opportunity had arrived, how could they just watch as they lost it? Good. Mu Xian was filled with excitement. The snake-scorpion beasts did not realize that they had fallen into the human's trap. They saw hundreds of fat deer in front of them running away in panic. This greatly stimulated the hungry snake-scorpion beasts and they quickly chased after the deer herd. The large array was like a pocket. The snake-scorpion beasts charged in and most of them were instantly caught. It's about time. A battalion of infantry will block the entrance to the valley and prevent the snake-scorpion beasts from retreating. Chu Tian stood up and loudly shouted, the array masters are activating the array, we need to exterminate them in one fell swoop. The array masters poured spirit energy into the array and on the dark ground, countless beams of light appeared, interweaving with each other and forming an incomparably large array. The snake-scorpion beasts realized the danger. Kill! Several hundred heavy armored soldiers with giant shields charged out from the back. The snake-scorpion beasts were caught off guard and were immediately cut down. The entrance to the Green Dragon Trail was controlled and the snake-scorpion beasts had no way out. For directional heavenly lightning array. Activate. Chu Tian raised a high array flag and in an instant, the earth began to tremble. With a series of heaven-shattering roars, over 100 bolts of lightning fell from the 9 heavens, falling into the array that Chu Tian had arranged. Each small array attracted a bolt of lightning. Countless bolts of lightning gathered in the array, as if they were sealed in the array, not leaking out at all. Chu Tian raised the array flag high up, like a god commanding lightning. The lightning quickly gathered into a lightning flood dragon that jumped around the array at an incredible speed. It was like an incomparably large chain that instantly bound the several hundred snake-scorpion beasts. Their skin was split open. Their bodies were scorched black. How wild was the power of the heavenly lightning! This large array condensed the power of lightning and if it was released at the same time, even the southern summer 8 marquises would find it hard to escape. The dazzling lightning raged for 4-5 minutes. The snake-scorpion beasts fell down one by one, but not a single human was injured. Too strong. This was a complete massacre. What kind of array was this? All the array masters and soldiers were deeply shocked by this miraculous scene. The person the successor invited to help, what kind of god was this? Chapter 252. The four-directional heavenly lightning array was similar to the level 1 lightning guiding talisman that Chu Tian had used before. The array itself did not have a strong power, but it could attract the might of the heavenly lightning. When the lightning was absorbed by the array, Chu Tian could personally control it and attack any target in the array. Southern Xia's source stones were barren, so it was very hard to create a large array. Chu Tian had a whimsical idea of breaking a complete array into pieces and splitting it into over 100 units, creating a low-cost but super strong killing array. Not to mention the trivial level 1 demon beasts of the snake-scorpion beasts. Even a level 2 demon beast could not block the might of the lightning. The destructive might of this array was something that only the 3 rulers could barely block. Otherwise, even if it was the 8 marquises, Chu Tian was confident he could kill them. The Qing state soldiers were deeply shocked, but they also felt an unprecedented excitement. Great-grandma. This was too abnormal. No one had even made a move, but just relying on the array, several hundred snake-scorpion beasts had died and the number of casualties was still increasing. The evil snake-scorpion beasts had occupied the Green Dragon Trail for 3 months. How many people had their families destroyed by them? How many soldiers had lost their lives in the canyon? Now they could only watch as the snake-scorpion beasts were turned into mincemeat by the lightning. That kind of carefree feeling made everyone's blood boil. Chu Tian continued to control the lightning chains, splitting even more snake-scorpion beasts. This incomparably wild power was like a needle in Chu Tian's hands, easily piercing through one snake-scorpion beast after another. They were instantly turned into mincemeat. After one wave, another wave came. When half of the snake-scorpion beasts had been eliminated, the lightning energy Chu Tian controlled began to weaken. Although there were still over half of the snake-scorpion beasts left, they were all injured and they had received an unprecedented fright. They were running away in a panic, completely defeated. These beasts can't hold on any longer. Mu Xian gave 3 loud laughs. He pulled out his long blade and charged forward. Everyone, kill with me. Long live the successor. Long live Qing province. 1,000 heavy armored soldiers charged forward with large shields and large blades, blocking the path of the snake-scorpion beasts. Their large blades began to mercilessly harvest the snake-scorpion beasts. The snake-scorpion beasts had lost their poison and their battle strength was not enough to fight against the Qing state heavy armored soldiers. Adding in the 4-directional heavenly thunder array, they had lost almost all of their battle strength, so how could they resist being surrounded? Kill. Don't let any of them go. Mu Xian killed several snake-scorpion beasts and the snake-scorpion beasts piled up into a small mountain. The snake-scorpion beasts failed several times and their numbers quickly decreased. Roar. At the crucial moment, a large snake-scorpion beast charged out of the countless snake-scorpion beasts. This snake-scorpion beast was clearly different from the others. Not only was it twice the size of a normal snake-scorpion beast, it was also covered in dark gold stripes. Snake-scorpion beast king. A rather strong level 2 magical beast. The snake-scorpion beast king raised its tail high up and a green light shot at the heavy armored soldiers. It instantly dissolved the shields of the soldiers and killed several soldiers in one go before breaking through the gap. The fellow that sneak attacked Chen Bingyu before should be this fellow. Chu Tian gathered the remaining lightning in his hand and threw it at the snake-scorpion beast. Who would have thought that the snake-scorpion beast would react so quickly? Its 2 large pincers clamped down and absorbed most of the lightning. Chu Tian was a little surprised. This snake-scorpion beast king is at least in the 6th awakened soul layer. Kill the beast's head. Several elite heavy armored soldiers surrounded it, but with several dang, dang sounds, their blades all broke. The snake-scorpion beast king did not even leave a mark. The angry snake-scorpion beast king stabbed out with its large pincers and the soldiers were torn to pieces with pitiful cries. This is bad. It wants to escape. Chen Bingyu's eyes flashed with a cold glow, but before Chen Bingyu could personally make a move, there was a figure that was even faster than her, instantly blocking the snake-scorpion beast king. With a head of white hair and a gray robe, this person was Mr. Chiu. Beast, where do you think you're going? Mr. Chiu gathered spirit energy in his palms and his skinny body shot out like an arrow at the snake-scorpion beast king. Die. It did not have the ability to resist at all. The snake-scorpion beast king's invulnerable body was instantly torn apart. This old man's cultivation base was very high. Mu Xian was also shocked. Mr. Chiu did not even release his source spirit and just used pure spirit energy to tear the snake-scorpion beast king in half. Just how high was his cultivation base? Chen Bingyu was also surprised. This Mr. Chiu's cultivation base was even higher than hers, not losing to Yun Tianhe, and his cultivation base was comparable to the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. This person was not a normal person. The snake-scorpion beast king was killed. The snake-scorpion beasts completely collapsed. In the end, after half an hour of encirclement, the snake-scorpion beasts were all killed. Even if there were some that escaped, they could not escape the cavalry on both sides. When the sun rose on the second day, the entire battlefield was filled with scars and the corpses of the snake-scorpion beasts were everywhere. This scene was truly shocking. We've won. Qing State has won. The soldiers all raised their helmets in celebration. This victory was too important to Qing State. A general came to report after counting the battlefield, reporting to the successor, "We've killed a total of 3,256 snake-scorpion beasts." Mu Xian was shocked. "What are the casualties of our army?" This general truthfully reported and it was not hard to see his excitement. "We've lost around 100 people." They had killed over 3,000 snake-scorpion beasts and only lost 100 soldiers. This was a glorious battle. When the Greenwood Marquis personally led the army, he had attacked the Green Dragon Trail several times, but he had failed every time. Tens of thousands of soldiers had been buried in the Green Dragon Trail. Now Mu Xian had 1,000 heavy armored soldiers as the main force. In just a single night, they had paid the price of over 100 casualties to completely wipe out the snake-scorpion beasts. Even if there were a few left in the Green Dragon Trail, they were no longer a threat. When everyone returned to the city, Qing State City completely exploded as everyone cheered in celebration. They all walked onto the streets, personally welcoming the army that had saved Qing State from this disaster. Long live the successor! Long live the successor! Mu Xian led the army back. While riding his horse, he waved his hand, looking very heroic and awe-inspiring. The tens of thousands of Qing State City citizens all cheered Mu Xian's name, giving Mu Xian an unprecedented sense of accomplishment. From this moment on, he no longer needed to rely on his father's protection, he could openly obtain the support of the Qing State citizens. Mu Xian loudly shouted, "Today's victory has swept away the haze and solved Qing State's problem. I've decided to hold a celebration banquet to reward the meritorious soldiers. The entire city will celebrate for 3 days." The soldiers were all very excited. With such a large merit falling onto their heads, how could they not be excited? Mu Xian looked around. "Where's Mr. Yu?" Reporting to the successor, "Mr. Yu did not enter the city with us." Mu Xian knit his brows. What was he doing? This fellow left without saying a word, he really was hiding his merit and fame. Mu Xian had some complaints about Mr. Yu, but when he saw his talent, Mu Xian could only feel awe. Now that Mr. Yu had successfully retreated, Mu Xian's opinion of him had changed and his heart was filled with even more respect. Mu Xian let out a sigh of relief. It was a good thing this person wasn't a Southern Xia person. Otherwise, with such a genius shining in the sky, it would make the Southern Summer country's people feel ashamed. Qing State's Pier. Chu Tian and Chen Bingyu boarded the ship and prepared to leave. Wait a minute. Mr. Chiu quickly ran over. His hair was a mess and his eyes were completely bloodshot. Mr. is a peerless talent, how could you be willing to be a small merchant? This Chiu will recommend you to the three rulers. No, this old man will recommend you to the Southern Summer King. You will be able to obtain an important position in the kingdom and you will be able to establish yourself for 1,000 years. Recommend him to the three rulers. Recommend him to the Southern Summer King. Daring to say this meant that Mr. Chiu had the ability to meet the three rulers or the Southern Summer King. Moreover, he had the confidence that the three rulers and the Southern Summer King would listen to him. What kind of power was this? Even the 8 marquises would not dare boast this. What is a small business and what is a great business? Chu Tian stood on the ship with his hand on the mast, looking at Mr. Chiu on the shore. A merchant can change the world if they reach the peak. If you don't believe me, just wait and see. Mister, please wait. Please reconsider. This person staying in Southern Xia is definitely a blessing for Southern Xia. Chu Tian didn't appreciate it at all. I'm used to being free and unrestrained. I appreciate Elder Chiu's kindness. I'll take my leave now. Wait. Master Autumn anxiously paced around. Even if he could not stay in Southern Xia, he could at least squeeze out more knowledge. This kind of opportunity could only be found and not sought. This old man has traveled the world to seek knowledge. I thought that I already had some knowledge. However, after meeting Mr. Yu, I realized that I was just a frog at the bottom of a well. If Sir Yu doesn't mind, this old man is willing to follow you around. Even if I have to be your assistant, this old man will be satisfied. Mr. Chiu's knowledge was not below Yun Tianhe's. If he could recruit this person, it would be a great help to the Yun sect's research. However, this person's background was unknown. Before he could figure out his identity, Chu Tian did not dare recruit him. Anyway, since we are in Southern Xia, why worry about not having a chance to meet? He might as well hang him for a bit. Chu Tian shook his head and refused. Mr. Chiu is an old scholar. Why bend your knees? The skilled are the teachers, learning has nothing to do with age. Mr. Chiu expressed his sincerity and almost knelt down in front of Chu Tian. Even becoming an apprentice is fine. Ha, I have never accepted a student. Mr. Chiu is not young, why are you so stubborn? Please go back. Chu Tian did not give Mr. Chiu a chance. He turned to Chen Bingyu and said, let's go. Wait. The mountains will not change and the rivers will continue to flow. We will meet again. Mr. Chiu was in a daze on the pier. His white hair danced in the wind and he gave off a lonely and pitiful feeling. Heavens! Why did I have to see this kind of monster in my life? Since I met this monster, why didn't I have a chance? Mr. Chiu finally understood that ignorance was a blessing. This was because the more he knew, the more he wanted to understand and the more pain he would feel. If he had not met the unfathomable Mr. Yu, he would still be proud of himself. After several decades of learning, he could compare to the scholars of a large country. Now that he had suddenly woken up from his dream, he finally realized how shallow he was. Time was ruthless and he was destined to regret it for the rest of his life. Chu Tian stood on the deck with his hands crossed in front of his chest. He asked with a faint smile, Big Sister Bing, can you guess old Chiu's identity? I think of a possibility. Chen Bingyu slightly knit her brows, but I'm not sure. Chen Bingyu had long suspected Mr. Chiu's identity, but that person was very proud. Compared to the Mr. Chiu in front of her, he was like a different person, so she was not sure. It doesn't matter, we'll meet sooner or later. Although he guessed that he would meet Mr. Chiu soon. Chu Tian never guessed that it would be much faster than he imagined. When Chu Tian pulled the cart full of ultra-wave crystal back to Central State City, he immediately called people to refine the crystal and brought it to the Yun sect to study. The ultra-wave crystal could turn signals into a stable high-frequency wave that could be transmitted thousands of miles away. The ultra-wave crystal was also divided into different levels. A level 1 crystal could transmit 1,000 miles and a level 2 crystal could transmit a 10,000-mile range. The southern summer country was not that big, so it was enough to refine level 2 ultra-wave crystals. From Central State City to Imperial City, they would need around 6-7 transmission towers. These transmission towers did not need to be built in the wild, they could be built in cities along the way. This way, they would not need to worry about natural disasters or demon beasts destroying them. A transmission tower was like a super strong signal amplifier. If an ultra-wave magnetic sound tower was built in Central State City, it would be able to send a signal to a 10,000-mile radius. All the normal magnetic sound towers would be able to cover the signal with their own magnetic field. Like this. If an ultra-wave magnetic sound tower was built in the Central State main city, it would be able to cover the entire Central State County. Not only would it be able to transmit sound signals, it would also be able to transmit images in the future. It would be able to completely change everyone's lives. Chapter 253. When Chu Tian smoothly returned to South Sky City, Shen Fengho had already reached the Imperial City 10,000 miles away. The Imperial City was the heart of the kingdom, it was only 3,000 miles away from the northern Spirit Beast Kingdom. The terrain in the middle was flat, there were no natural defenses. If the Spirit Beasts launched a surprise attack, the elite cavalry would be able to reach the Imperial City in 2 days. It could be imagined how dangerous this place was. How could the Imperial City be built in such a dangerous place? This had to be explained from the history of Southern Xia. Southern Xia's history was divided into the Northern Summer and Southern Summer periods. The Northern Summer period was when the kingdom was at its peak. At that time, the population was around 1 billion and the territory was 3 times larger than it is now, so it was called the Great Summer Country. The country's name couldn't be randomly used, this was something to pay attention to. The human countries were very strict, they could be divided into empires and kingdoms. Empires were the rulers of a region, they had a population of over 10 billion and a territory of over 10 million square kilometers, so they had the qualifications to call themselves emperors. The kingdom's size, population, and territory were much smaller, the ruler could at most be called a king. Kingdoms were divided into warring kingdoms, large kingdoms, and small kingdoms. The Great Summer Country was the name of a large kingdom. The bronze-masked old man that Chu Tian met came from the Great Zhou Country. This Great Zhou Country was also a large kingdom, its national strength was around 10 times that of Southern Xia. Even the currency used was the continent's common source stone, it was convenient for caravans to enter and exit the country, allowing the country to connect with the world. Southern Xia had been called the Great Summer Country 700 to 800 years ago, this showed that the country's national strength was close to that of a large kingdom. If it could continue to develop, it would be able to solidify its status as a large kingdom. Who would have known that when the Great Summer Kingdom was prospering, a nomadic spirit beast kingdom would suddenly invade the south? The Great Summer Kingdom was caught off guard and instantly had their defensive lines destroyed by the ferocious spirit beasts. They arrived at the capital and killed all the Great Summer Kingdom's royal clan, causing the entire kingdom to fall. In this time of crisis, the Dongfang family allied with the Nangong family and the Shengguan family to fight back, finally saving a small part of the country. After the war stabilized, the Dongfang family proclaimed themselves kings and changed the country's name to Southern Summer. The first-generation Southern Summer King was a hero, swearing to take back the blood debt from the spirit beasts. In order to show his unyielding ambition and determination, as well as to inspire the fighting spirit of his descendants, he deliberately placed the imperial city in the north of Southern Xia, facing the territory occupied by the nomadic spirit beasts. Adversity begets adversity and perishes in ease. The first-generation Southern Summer King's decision seemed reckless, but it laid a strong foundation for the continuation of Southern Xia. Since the founding of Southern Xia, they had always lived under the shadow of the spirit beasts. The survival instinct of the people stimulated their bravery, and the descendants of the three great families continued to produce generation after generation of talents. In order to protect the imperial city and the kingdom, they charged into the battlefield, causing the spirit beasts who had the absolute advantage to fail again and again. The reason southern Xia had become stronger and stronger over the past several hundred years was because of the capital city facing off against the spirit beasts in the north. The southern states were able to develop in peace, finally becoming prosperous and establishing a strong foundation for the kingdom. After Shen Fenghe obtained the source energy pistol made by Chu Tian, he personally went north to Imperial City. Imperial City was the most prosperous city in southern Xia, with a population that was half that of Central State's main city. The city walls were layered and the exterior was covered in a layer of molten iron. When the sun shined on it, it shined with a cold light. In terms of the city structure, it was not as beautiful as Central State, but it was filled with the power of the baptism of war. It was a steel fortress that could not be broken. The garrison in Imperial City far surpassed the 8 states. The most elite storm cavalry had 100,000 soldiers. This elite cavalry was an important force to fight against the spirit beasts. The other main armies were all gathered in Imperial City, allowing Imperial City to be in a state of war at any time, quickly reacting to the battlefield. Every time he came to Imperial City, Shen Fenghe would feel his heart being filled with emotions. In the past 500-600 years, Imperial City had never fallen before. Rather, it had become stronger in every bloody battle. After the citizens of Imperial City experienced the baptism of war, they became even more warlike, becoming even more powerful. Now that southern Xia had a stable population of 200-300 million, they had millions of soldiers. The spirit beasts had been in internal conflict in recent years, so they did not have the time to encroach on the southern lands. Now was the time for southern Xia to rise and collect this blood debt in one fell swoop. Shen Fenghe looked at the sealed crystal box. Perhaps this weapon would be the key. I am Central State's Feng Yuntian. I have an important matter to discuss with the calm martial ruler. It's Sir Shen Fenghe. Quickly, report to the calm martial ruler. The calm martial ruler's palace was luxurious, but not extravagant. It was completely black in color, filled with the aura of an army. This was the largest palace in Imperial City other than the royal palace. The Dongfang family was worthy of being the #1 family because the Dongfang family was the southern summer royal family. Not to mention that the Dongfang family even had a country protecting pillar, the calm martial ruler. The Dongfang family's overall strength far surpassed the Nangong and Shangguan families. Chu Tian's plan was very good. There was nothing more powerful than the Dongfang family's support. A blood-red clothed guard from the Jun Palace came out, reporting to the Marquis, the ruler is not in the palace. The ruler's status was very high. Actually, in some large empires, the ruler could establish a ruler's country. The ruler's country was a kind of vassal state that did not have complete independence, so it could not be compared to a kingdom or an empire. Southern Xia was not very big and the 3 rulers did not have a territory, but they were still called rulers, second only to the southern summer king. Shen Fenghe slightly knit his brows. The calm martial ruler is not an imperial city. The calm martial ruler was the frontline commander, so if there was an urgent battle report, the calm martial ruler would often leave Imperial City. He would be gone for 5-10 days or even several months. If he could not see the calm martial ruler in time, the situation would not be good. Shen Fenghe's status was high and he had the qualifications to speak to the king, but his weight was still lower than the burning sun ruler and the refined ruler. If there was a dispute in front of the southern summer king, Shen Fenghe would not be able to win against the 2 of them. This matter was very important. Shen Fenghe trusted the calm martial ruler, so he had to convince the calm martial ruler first. The blood-red clothed guard cupped his hands and replied, the ruler has been urgently summoned to the royal palace by the king and has not returned yet. Shen Fenghe let out a long sigh of relief. The calm martial ruler was in Imperial City, so everything was fine. Southern Summer Royal Palace. The golden glazed tiles shone dazzlingly under the sunlight. The two dragons on the eaves were covered in golden scales and armor. They looked alive and seemed to want to soar into the sky. The elite palace guards were as dense as the clouds. All of them held long spears and swords in their hands, causing the luxurious palace complex to exude a sharp murderous aura. On the 9 jade steps, the king was sitting on a throne, looking around 60 years old with white hair. He was wearing a purple royal robe and had a majestic crown on his head. There was a long sword at his waist that was releasing a powerful aura. This was Southern Xia's king's guardian sword, which was said to be passed down by the great summer country's royal family. In the magnificent hall, all the guards had been sent away. 3 men as strong as gods walked in. The person on the left was an old man with a head full of red hair. Although he was already very old, he was still as tall and sturdy as a mountain. His entire body emitted a violent and powerful aura. The person on the right was an elegant old man dressed in white. He had a medium build and a refined appearance. His hair was all white, and he had the aura of an old scholar. The one in the middle was the youngest, but it was hard to tell his age from his appearance. There was only a bit of white hair on his temples and he was wearing a dark golden armor. His left hand was holding a helmet, his cheeks were square and his forehead was protruding. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's, making him look like he was filled with killing intent. I've urgently summoned the 3 rulers today because I have something to discuss. Burning Sun ruler, you go first. Reporting to my king. The Burning Sun ruler Nangong Yan's body was filled with hot energy, like an angry fire god. The ground under his feet was penetrated by his aura, becoming hotter and hotter. My clan's elder Nangong Ji has gone to Central State under the king's orders, but he never thought that he would be crippled by that Chu Tian. This matter concerns the Nangong family's face. I ask my king to make a decision. Chu Tian. The Southern Summer King's voice was deep and resounded in the hall, filled with a sense of majesty. This king has heard of this name more than once. Arrogant, not only did he lead the pirates to attack Central State City, he even swallowed the 3 old clans. His current actions are not even placing this king in his eyes. He is truly very bold. When the Southern Summer King said this, although his tone did not change, the 3 rulers could feel that the Southern Summer King was already angered by Chu Tian's actions. The Southern Summer King had been in power for over 20 years. He was the supreme ruler of Southern Xia. Even the 3 rulers had to listen to his orders. What did a brat from Central State count for? The calm martial ruler stood up and said, Chu Tian has made a great contribution in Thunder State. This person has true talent, he should be able to be used by my Southern Xia. I ask my king to make a decision. Southern Xia needs people. Could the Southern Summer Country be lacking in talent? A sharp voice rang out. It was the refined ruler, Shengguan Sangfeng. Can he compare to the great scholar? The calm martial ruler knit his brows. The refined ruler's words are reasonable. Southern Summer does not lack talents. Chu Tian may have made contributions, but his merits and demerits offset each other. Chu Tian may have talent, but he is unruly and hard to teach. He is not suitable for the kingdom. The Southern Summer King's voice was filled with an irresistible might. If this matter of insulting the royal envoy were to spread in Southern Xia, where would the prestige of Imperial City go? I, the king, is wise. We must kill one as an example to others. The refined ruler, Shengguan Sangfeng, already understood what the Southern Summer King was thinking, so he took the initiative to say, I propose that Chu Tian be severely punished. Otherwise, if he continues to grow, he will poison Central State and divide our kingdom. What about the Burning Sun ruler? I agree. The Burning Sun ruler, Nangong Yan, was a victim. He crippled a senior elder of the Nangong family. This is slapping the face of my Nangong family. The calm martial ruler, Dongfang Gan, knit his brows. King, please reconsider. I've already made my decision. The Southern Summer King gave his order. Chu Tian has no eyes for the law and is arrogant, looking down on the king's prestige and offending his superiors. Even if he has great merits, it is not enough. He will be brought back to Imperial City for trial and the refined ruler will personally take charge of this matter. I, the king, am wise. The refined ruler revealed a smile. I suggest using the southern state army and sending the western marquis to central state. The southern summer king said, aloud. The burning sun ruler nodded, expressing his satisfaction. According to what I know, the western marquis has a personal grudge with Chu Tian. The calm martial ruler suddenly said, if we send the western marquis to capture Chu Tian alive and bring him back for trial, we need to ask the great scholar to supervise the army. This will prevent the western marquis from abusing his position. The refined ruler knit his brows. He deliberately gave this opportunity to the western marquis to give the western marquis a chance to take revenge. All right. The southern summer king did not wait for the refined ruler to object. Send 100 royal knights to Qing state and have the great scholar personally command them to assist the western marquis in his mission. The three rulers' hearts slightly trembled. The royal knights were all sent out. The southern summer king really had to capture Chu Tian. All right, this matter ends here. The southern summer king was not willing to mention the matter of central state anymore. He looked at the calm martial ruler. What is the situation in the north? The calm martial ruler was not satisfied. But that brat Chu Tian's actions were too excessive. The calm martial ruler knew the southern summer king's personality, so he did not dissuade him. Anyway, he had asked the great scholar to come forward. The great scholar was a righteous person and could mediate the situation, allowing him to keep his life. If Chu Tian died, it would be because his life was not good. Reporting to my king, the spirit beasts are in internal strife and have been killing each other for over 10 years. The internal friction is very strong. Perhaps this is a chance for the southern summer king. Oh. Is that so? The southern summer king revealed a look of joy and immediately discussed it with the three rulers, discussing it deep into the night. The southern summer king became more and more excited, as if he did not care about Chu Tian's matter at all. After all, compared to Chu Tian, the northern spirit beasts were the biggest problem. We still have to rely on the calm martial ruler. Continue to observe and find a chance. We will definitely strike. Chapter 254. Chu Tian was not enough. A person that dared to defy the king's orders meant that he did not place the king in his eyes. This was a young man that was not even 20 years old. How could he be this arrogant? If he was given an important task and allowed to climb to a higher position, wouldn't he be rebelling? Kill one to warn 100. He had to kill one to warn 100. Otherwise, where would the southern summer king's dignity be? The southern summer king allowed southern states Shengguanhong to enter central state with the royal proclamation to capture Chu Tian. In order to be safe, he sent 100 royal knights with the support of the great scholar. They had to capture Chu Tian. The royal knights were the elites of southern Xia's cavalry and were chosen from the storm knights. This was not just the royal palace's most elite army, they were also the most loyal guards of the royal family. The royal knights did not participate in the battle. Rather than being a strong fighting force, it was better to say they were a strong deterrent force. Each member of this army was a peak expert of southern Xia, and 100 royal knights were not inferior to a small army. The royal knights represented the king's prestige. The calm martial ruler did not care about talent, but he understood the southern summer king. Although he agreed to the calm martial ruler sending the great scholar, it was not because the calm martial ruler's suggestion was good, rather it was just an extra layer of insurance. The great scholar had both strength and wisdom, as well as an extraordinary influence. With the threat of 100 royal knights, Chu Tian could only wait to be captured. This king was not lacking in talent, strategy, or ambition, but his desire for control was too strong. He could not tolerate people who were rebellious and difficult to control. So even if Chu Tian did not lose to the great scholar, the southern summer king could not give him an important task. The calm martial ruler could only do this. Whether he lived or died would depend on Chu Tian's luck. Of course, whether it was the southern summer king, the calm martial ruler, the burning sun ruler, or the refined ruler, they did not care about Chu Tian at all. He was just a genius that came from a small place. The three great clans were filled with talents, so how could they not have a single genius? As for the matter in Thunder State, in fact, the troubles in southern Xia had never stopped for many years. One moment it was a beast plague, the next moment it was a plague, and the next moment it was a landslide and an earthquake. What happened in Thunder State was resolved in an extremely short amount of time. Everyone in Imperial City thought that this was just like the previous disasters and that there wasn't anything strange about it. Shen Fenghe and the Golden Arrow Marquis tried their best to take credit for Chu Tian, but the relationship between the two marquises was not shallow and Shen Fenghe thought highly of Chu Tian, so it was hard to guarantee that there were no personal feelings involved. Southern Xia will always have only one hidden danger. That was the northern nomadic spirit beast kingdom, the Warhounds tribe. Strictly speaking, the Warhounds tribe was not the name of a country, but rather the name of an area. There were large amounts of nomadic spirit beast tribes here, with the dog and wolf races being the main ones, so they were collectively called the Warhounds tribe. The place they were in was called the Warhounds Plains. The Warhounds tribe maintained the style of the spirit beasts. They did not have ethics, laws, or morals. They did not have a place to live and they plundered, so they were very aggressive. When they attacked the Great Summer Country in the past and looted the entire kingdom, it was the 12 strongest Warhounds tribe armies. This was the leader of a united tribal kingdom. He named himself the Warhounds Kingdom, and called himself the Fang King. The humans called him the Warhounds King. Each generation of the Fang King was the bravest war god of the 12 Warhounds tribes, so the Fang King's army was invincible. They forcefully turned the Great Summer Country into Southern Xia, and forced Southern Xia to not be able to breathe. If the Warhounds Kingdom could maintain their battle strength, this human kingdom would have already been destroyed. Only, the Spirit Beast Kingdom's social system was too weak, so the Warhounds tribe could not prosper for a long time. After each generation of the Fang King fell, the Warhounds Plains would be filled with internal strife. The various tribes wanted to compete for the new Fang King, so it was inevitable that there would be conflicts and wars. In fact, in the last 100 years, the Warhounds tribes were evenly matched. Without a Fang King and without a qualified ruler, the Warhounds tribes could not work together at all. No matter how strong they were like scattered sand. If a tribe came to plunder the humans, not only would another tribe not help, they would even stab them in the back. It was because of this that the Warhounds tribes invaded southern Xia year after year, only to steal a few people. It had been too long since they had started a proper war. This gave southern Xia a chance to turn around. The calm martial ruler and the southern Summer King had been observing all this time. The more intense the Warhounds tribe's internal strife, the more advantageous it was for southern Xia. Once the time was ripe, the calm martial ruler would personally lead the army and attack the Warhounds Plains in one fell swoop, paying back the blood debt accumulated over several hundred years. The Warhounds Plains. Southern Xia would swallow it sooner or later. It was best to kill the conflicts in the other states, they could not hinder the overall situation. When the calm martial ruler returned to the ruler's palace, it was already the middle of the night. Reporting to the ruler. The calm martial ruler picked up the latest report from the Warhounds Plains and a guard immediately came to report, Central States Shen Fenghe is asking for an audience. Shen Fenghe. The calm martial ruler slightly knit his brows. He didn't need to guess to know that this person was asking for leniency for Chu Tian, since he dares to cause trouble, he should think about the consequences and the price. Go tell Shen Fenghe that he can go back. This ruler is powerless. The calm martial ruler was very unreasonable. Actually Shen Fenghe should not have come to Imperial City at this moment. The Southern Summer King had already sent out the royal proclamation, so this matter could not be reversed. If Shen Fenghe was in Central State, he might have been able to confront the Western Marquis. With the great scholar here, perhaps Chu Tian would not have died. If Shen Fenghe ran to Imperial City, who would be able to fight the Western Marquis? Ruler, Shen Fenghe said that he won't leave until he sees you. This Feng Yuntian. The calm martial ruler slammed the letter on the table and a sharp look flashed in his eyes. He did not like people that did not know what was good for them. He would naturally do things that he should do, but what use was asking for things that he shouldn't do? Alright, then call Shen Fengho in. Shen Fengho walked into the main hall of the ruler's palace and respectfully bowed down. Feng Yuntian greets the calm martial ruler. No need for formalities. The calm martial ruler looked at him with an expressionless face. Shen Fengho has come back and traveled tens of thousands of miles to Imperial City. It couldn't be to ask for leniency for Chu Tian, right? The calm martial ruler is wise. Shen Fengho did not hide his intentions. Chu Tian is not a normal person, he cannot be dealt with normally. He has no respect for the law and is arrogant and hard to tame. This ruler has rarely seen such a domineering person in his life. Colluding with the pirates to cause chaos in Central State, secretly swallowing the 3 great clans, and even crippling a senior Nangong family elder, which one of these did not violate the kingdom's taboo? This kind of arrogant person, even if he has some knowledge, it will be hard for him to become a pillar of the kingdom. If he was dealt with normally, he would have died 10 times already. That's not true. Shen Fengho argued, the Imperial City has only received one side of the story. The chaos in Central State was not caused by Chu Tian, it was caused by the Chu, Luo, and Yi families. As for the pirates of the 4 States Lake, they are a long-term hidden danger. Chu Tian has taken them under his command and used them for Southern Xia. This matter is not wrong, but rather it is a great merit. Chu Tian embezzled the 3 clans' property and heavily injured the Imperial City's envoy. How do you explain this? These 2 matters were indeed inappropriate. Shen Fengho admitted that Chu Tian was wrong, but his tone suddenly changed. But the Chu, Luo, and Yi families attacked Chu Tian and caused great damage to Central State City. It is true that Chu Tian swallowed the 3 great clans, but he also distributed wealth to the people, quickly stabilizing the chaos in Central State. As for heavily injuring Nangongji, it was purely because Nangongji was provoked by others, trying to steal miracle commerce for nothing, so he angered Chu Tian. Although Chu Tian was wrong, compared to his merit, this one does not think he should be punished. Is Shen Fengho really a fool or is he pretending to be a fool? This one does not understand. The calm martial ruler smiled, this ruler will not beat around the bush. The Southern Summer King cannot tolerate Chu Tian, do you still not understand? Other than the above reasons, the most important thing is that Chu Tian was born in a low position, but now he is the ruler of Central State and has an arrogant and unruly personality. Central State is the center of Southern Xia. Have you thought of the consequences once something happens in Central State? Indeed. Other than the surface reason, there was a deeper contradiction. Why was Central State called Central State? Because it was located in Southern Xia, it had the function of coordinating the other regions. The Divine Wind Marquis had lived in seclusion for many years and the 4 great families were divided. This situation was also the result of Imperial City, so Central State had to have a balance. Otherwise, if Central State fell into chaos, it would become an unimaginable threat to the Southern Summer Country. Chu Tian's personality made people worry. This unruly fellow would cause chaos at this critical moment, which would have an immeasurable negative effect on Southern Xia. Chu Tian is not a person who would cause chaos in the country. Shen Fengho thought of this point, this person has shocking talent, so it is not good to restrict him. If we let him develop, Central State will become the head of the 8 states in 3 years. Words are no proof. Feng Yuntian will use his life as a guarantee. If Central State doesn't succeed in 3 years, I am willing to stretch out my neck to be executed. The calm martial ruler was a bit stunned. Shen Fengho, I really can't understand you. Chu Tian's arrogant personality is not fake, but he is very clear about gratitude and grudges. If the calm martial ruler can give him a hand in this difficult time, he will repay Southern Xia 100 times in the future. Strange. A brat was worth Shen Fengho doing this? Empty words are useless. Shen Fengho continued to say, if the calm martial ruler really wants to protect Chu Tian, that brat will be fine even without anyone persuading him. If the calm martial ruler does not have the heart to protect Chu Tian, even if this one's lips break, the calm martial ruler's personality will not change. It's good that you understand. The calm martial ruler asked in an interested voice, but Shen Fengho has already understood this, but he still came to Imperial City to persuade me. Could it be that he has full confidence in persuading me? Chu Tian has a gift for the calm martial ruler. Shen Fengho presented a crystal box. I asked the calm martial ruler to take a look. Gift? Only he could think of this. The calm martial ruler gave a few cold laughs in his heart. This ruler was giving Shen Fengho face, so he met with Shen Fengho, otherwise he would not have interfered in this matter. The calm martial ruler was a very upright person, so he did not like people who played politics the most. He tried to guess the thoughts of those in power and gave gifts to those in power. He was a talent that could be used. If he was still alive after being sent to Imperial City, he could secretly save his life. However, this person managed to convince Shen Fengho to give him a gift. The calm martial ruler's opinion of him plummeted. I am willing to use my marquis title and my life to guarantee that the calm martial ruler will not regret this. Shen Fengho looked around. Only, this item is very important and I do not wish for a third person to see it. If the other side was not Shen Fengho, the calm martial ruler would have immediately sent him away. The calm martial ruler was clear on Shen Fengho's character. This person cared the least about fame out of the 8 marquises. It was impossible for him to kneel to a youth for benefits. Since he dared to make this promise, he must have his reasons. That's fine. He'll just take a look. Chapter 255. Shen Fengho was not a person who was greedy for fame. Since he had helped Chu Tian time and time again, not hesitating to use his title and life as a guarantee, he must have his reasons. The calm martial ruler waved his sleeve. You can all leave. Without this ruler's orders, you're not allowed to enter the palace. The June Palace guards all left. The Divine Wind Marquis carefully opened the crystal box. There was a silver pistol and 6 source energy batteries inside, quietly lying inside. The calm martial ruler's eyes narrowed. The material of this item was not very precious, so if it was a gift, it would be too shabby. This is a new weapon invented by Chu Tian. Shen Fengho placed the crystal box in front of the calm martial ruler. It's called the source energy pistol. I asked the calm martial ruler to take a look. What kind of weapon is this? Why don't you show it to Ben Jun? Calm martial ruler, look carefully. Shen Fengho knew that the calm martial ruler was filled with doubts, but it was useless to say anything now. He would just let him see the might of the source energy pistol. Shen Fengho took out the silver source energy pistol and then picked up a source energy battery magazine, casually putting it in. With a ka-cha sound, the magazine was placed in the gun. The runes on the silver-white gun were instantly activated by a ray of light. The calm martial ruler's eyes slightly opened and a bright light flashed in them. This weapon seemed to have a very intricate array and rune structure engraved on it. The most incredible thing was that this array could be activated by an energy magazine. Just based on this point, this was a very meaningful invention. The source energy array needed spirit energy to be activated, so refining pills and making talismans could not be separated from manual labor. If there was a way to release people and automatically activate the source energy array, it would be a large increase in production. Shen Fengho aimed at a pillar and pulled the trigger. The calm martial ruler could clearly feel that the runes engraved on the gun began to light up. Several source energy arrays began to move according to a certain pattern, drawing out a strong energy from the energy magazine and quickly condensing it at the muzzle. This is... The calm martial ruler was in a daze. Pang! A light flashed. An energy bullet shot out and melted through the metal pillar on the spot, creating a large pit. It was unknown what material this silvery white pistol was made of, but its power was unexpectedly 3 times stronger than the experimental product. Although the barrel was burned red hot, it wasn't like the experimental product, which only fired one energy bullet before it melted. Shin Fengho lowered his spear and looked at Shin Fengho. What does the calm martial ruler think? What kind of situation had the three lords not seen before? But when this scene played out in front of him, the calm martial ruler was stunned and his heart almost jumped out of his chest. What kind of weapon was that? How could it shoot out such a powerful energy in an instant? Calm martial ruler, calm martial ruler. Shin Fengho had never seen the three rulers this shocked before, so his heart was filled with joy. After calling out several times, the calm martial ruler came back to his senses. The calm martial ruler did not say anything as he quickly calmed down. He returned to his seat and waited for Shin Fengho to explain further. He was truly worthy of being the calm martial ruler. In front of such a miraculous weapon, he could still remain calm. This was not easy at all. At least it was much better than Shin Fengho's reaction. As the calm martial ruler can see, when I used the weapon, I did not release a single strand of spirit energy. In other words, even if the one holding the source energy pistol was a child, it would still have a terrifying lethality. It would be enough to kill an early awakened soul cultivator in one shot. Letting a child have the strength to kill an awakened soul cultivator. The calm martial ruler looked calm on the surface, but his hands couldn't help trembling. The cost must not be low. Shin Fengho revealed a mysterious smile. What does the calm martial ruler think the cost is? The craftsmanship is exquisite, the energy source is strange, and the talisman arrays are profound. The value of this item is at least 1 million gold coins. No. It should be over 5 million gold coins. Ha, 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 ha. Shin Fengho broke out in laughter. Even the calm martial ruler can make a mistake sometimes. The calm martial ruler knit his brows. 5 million gold coins is not enough. In fairness, this weapon was not bad. Although it was not a threat to the three rulers, to an awakened soul realm person, it was a very deadly weapon. Even if it was sold for 5 million gold coins, there would still be a large number of people who would buy it. Only with such an expensive item, it would be hard to popularize it. Who would have thought that from Shin Fengho's tone, this item would not be worth 5 million gold coins? The price was too high, and if it really cost 10 million gold coins, no one would dare use it even if they invented it. This was because it was too expensive, and 10 million gold coins was more than enough to buy a high-grade soul weapon. Shin Fengho stretched out a finger. The cost to make it should be around this number. You really want 10 million? The calm martial ruler felt like his strength had been sucked out. He had high expectations before, and now he suddenly found out that this invention was not practical. It was hard to avoid a large gap. That's fine. This item was indeed not normal. Just the automatic source energy array system was enough to bring a large change to the industry. Just based on this, Chu Tian was worth training. Of course it's not 10 million gold coins. Shin Fengho loudly replied, at most it's 1,000 gold coins. Pa! The calm martial ruler's chair was shattered to pieces. A vast and shocking pressure filled the entire ruler's palace. Even Shin Fengho couldn't help taking several steps back when facing this strong pressure. His heart was secretly shocked. This was the strength of a 3-ruler level expert. It really far surpassed the limits of an awakened soul cultivator. Just 1,000 gold coins is enough. The calm martial ruler's eyes turned a bit red, like a hungry wolf seeing a fat lamb. Are you lying to me? That's impossible. When Shin Fengho said this, he even suspected that he was dreaming. This weapon that could even threaten an awakened soul cultivator in the hands of a little child, its cost wasn't even 1,000 gold coins. Training a void soul cultivator would cost anywhere from several million to 10 million. Training an illustrious soul cultivator would cost tens of millions to hundreds of millions, but now it only cost 1,000 gold coins to destroy an awakened soul cultivator. How could people accept this? 1,000 gold coins for one. 10 over 10,000. 100 over 100,000. 1,000 over a million. If this kind of weapon was popularized, it would definitely have a subversive effect on the kingdom. Those large families would train their own talents and buy this kind of weapon on a large scale, easily ruling over a region. With 1,000 of these weapons firing at once, it was enough to instantly destroy an army. Even if it was an expert on the level of one of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises, they would not be able to withstand the simultaneous attack of several hundred source energy pistols. With a cost of 1,000,000 gold coins, it would be enough to kill an expert on the level of one of the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. What did 1,000,000 gold coins count for? In a place like Imperial City, a rich merchant would buy a beautiful maid for around this price. Of course. Although the power of the weapon was strong, power did not represent strength. Even if there were several hundred people aiming at Shen Fenghe would not just stand there and be a target. With his strength and speed, he would not have a chance to fire. But no matter what, this low cost had such a shocking effect, it was truly a miracle. Of course, this is the cost price. Shen Fenghe was very satisfied with the calm martial ruler's reaction. With Chu Tian's personality, if he were to sell it, each source energy pistol would cost 10-20,000 gold coins, 10-20,000. The calm martial ruler thinks it's too expensive. What expensive? It's too cheap. The calm martial ruler angrily said, if it's sold this cheaply, wouldn't the local families be hoarding it? The calm martial ruler was worried that this weapon would be too expensive, but now he was worried that it would be sold too cheaply. He finally understood why Shen Fenghe wanted to protect Chu Tian. Chu Tian alone could defeat 1,000,000 soldiers. The calm martial ruler's eyes suddenly flashed. Shen Fenghe and Chu Tian's relationship is not shallow. I wonder if he can obtain the design for this pistol. As expected. Wouldn't he feel more assured holding this thing in his own hands? If Chu Tian really gave the design to him, perhaps Chu Tian would be in danger. After all, whoever had the design would be able to control a modern weapon. No ambitious person would be willing to share it with others. Once the calm martial ruler gave the design to the Southern Summer King, the strong Southern Summer King would definitely get rid of Chu Tian. This source energy pistol is still in the testing stage. Even if we obtain the design, we will only be able to make an incomplete product. Is that so? Not to mention that the source energy pistol is only the foundation of the source energy weapons. Chu Tian will develop even more advanced source energy weapons in the future, so this one thinks that Chu Tian can only support an alliance. We can't become enemies with him or force him, otherwise it will be the opposite of what we want. The calm martial ruler had indeed thought of Chu Tian in that instant. After all, the temptation was too big. If he could control Chu Tian, sweeping through the war-hound plains would only be a matter of time. But looking at Chu Tian's personality, he was someone who could be persuaded but not cowed. Forcing him might not have any results, and if he made him hate him, it would be a large hidden danger. Chu Tian has sent a personal letter. I asked the calm martial ruler to take a look. The calm martial ruler opened the letter that was not sealed and there were only a few hundred words written on it. It was the letter that Chu Tian had Shen Fenghe send to the calm martial ruler. Shen Fenghe had not seen the contents of the letter, so he did not know what Chu Tian had written inside. This fellow did not play his cards according to common sense, so he hoped that he did not cause any trouble. Good Chu Tian. The calm martial ruler angrily said, since he's brought business to this ruler's head, he wants to invite this ruler to Central State to discuss cooperation and develop the military industry together. What? Inviting the calm martial ruler to Central State. Was Chu Tian crazy? A person like the calm martial ruler could not easily leave Imperial City. The calm martial ruler was not in a rush to make a decision. What does Shen Fenghe think? This Chu Tian is too bold. Shen Fenghe first lectured Chu Tian before saying, but for the benefit of the kingdom, I think that if the calm martial ruler can represent the kingdom and cooperate with Chu Tian, it will be a good thing for the country. The calm martial ruler cannot personally go to Central State, so he can just send a trusted aide to discuss this matter. This ruler wants to personally go. The calm martial ruler pondered it for a bit. The refined ruler has contacted southern states' western marquis today. Perhaps he will make a move against Chu Tian soon. This monarch cannot leave royal city directly and must make preparations for deployment. The southern continent is directly connected to the central continent by the Four States Lake. At this point, I can only ask the Grand Scholar to help me mediate for a while. This monarch will deploy the front lines in 2 days and immediately secretly enter the central continent. With the calm martial ruler personally making a move, this trouble could be considered over. However, calling the calm martial ruler to central state to negotiate, was this a wise move? The calm martial ruler was too strong, and in this situation where both sides were not equal, perhaps this negotiation would put Chu Tian in a disadvantageous position. 2 hours later. The refined ruler's palace. A senior Shengguan family elder quickly found Shengguan Sangfeng, reporting to the ruler, the calm martial ruler's palace has sent a secret letter to Qing state. The 3 rulers were in a competitive relationship. The calm martial ruler could fight, but he was much weaker when it came to power struggles. Every letter from the calm martial ruler's palace could not escape the refined ruler's control, and the calm martial ruler did not know about it. The letter is here. The refined ruler tore open the calm martial ruler's letter and gave it a simple glance before revealing a cold smile. The content of the letter was asking the great scholar to protect Chu Tian and not let the Shengguan family harm him, delaying for as much time as possible. This calm martial ruler, he really can't change his old habits. The refined ruler did not place Chu Tian in his eyes at all. Only Chu Tian had offended the Shengguan family several times. The first time he crippled Shengguan Ming, he had shamed the Shengguan family. After all, Shengguan Ming had disobeyed the royal order, so the family could not do anything about it or it would affect the family's reputation. But the second time was too much. Chu Tian had crippled the Western Marquis successor, Shengguan Feichen, causing the citizens of Thunder State to chase the Western Marquis away. The Southern Summer Country had been established for many years. There had never been a case of a commoner chasing away a marquis. This matter could not be hidden. The Western Marquis was not just one of the 8 marquises, he was also one of the most important branches of the Shengguan family. Now that the Western Marquis reputation had been damaged, how could the Shengguan family not be affected? In the refined ruler's eyes, Chu Tian was like an ant. With the status of the 3 rulers, if they wanted to crush this ant, it would not take much effort at all. But the refined ruler had his status and disdained making a move against a junior like Chu Tian. Since there was a chance now, he might as well take advantage of it. Should we intercept this letter? Why should we intercept it? We don't want to make things difficult for the calm martial ruler. Go and change the letter a bit and send it out normally. We have to do it without anyone knowing, do you understand? This elder of course understood the refined ruler's meaning. He immediately changed the letter and placed it back, allowing it to be sent to the Qing state great scholar's hands. Chapter 256. Qing State City. When the Greenwood Marquis returned from pacifying the west side, he received a large piece of good news. The Green Dragon Trail had been opened. The Greenwood Marquis did not dare believe it and immediately rushed back to the main city, finally confirming this news. The Greenwood Marquis had failed several times in the Green Dragon Trail, but his son had led him to a breakthrough. It was because of this great merit that Mu Xian received the strong support of the Qing state people. To the Greenwood Marquis, this was even more joyous. Qing State City had mobilized a large number of troops over the past few days, moving from both east and west. An entire 100,000 soldiers entered the Green Dragon Trail, eradicating the remaining threats in the Green Dragon Trail and finally opening this important path. In order to prevent something like this from happening again, Qing State began to build camps in the mountains, filling the Green Dragon Trail with sentries. Other than that, there were 30,000 elite soldiers stationed in the Green Dragon Trail camp, maintaining the safety of the Green Dragon Trail. Like this, the Green Ridge's resource production quickly recovered and all the resource fields began to operate again. Those merchants who sold their shares or resource fields to Chu Tian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Chu Tian had invested 650 million gold coins in the Green Ridge. Even if he didn't do anything now, as long as he sold all the resources and shares he had, he would be able to easily double or even double the profit. It had only been a few days, so once the Green Dragon Trail was completely stabilized, the value of these resource fields would continue to rise. Wanting to buy these resource fields at their original value in normal times was simply a fool's dream. Chu Tian had used a price that was almost half to buy a large number of resource fields that were hard to buy, creating a stable resource channel for miracle commerce. This was truly a large profit. Mu Xian returned to the Marquis Palace, reporting to father, the Green Dragon Trail has been completely cleared. We are currently building camps in the mountains and consolidating the defenses of the Green Dragon Trail, preventing something like this from happening again. Good job. The Greenwood Marquis felt his body relax and the haze that had covered his heart for several months finally disappeared. This problem that has troubled Qing State for several months has been solved. Someone come, I want to personally visit Mr. Chiu and thank Qing State City's great hero. Father, although Mr. Chiu has done quite a bit. Mu Xian hesitated for a few seconds, but the greatest contribution is Mu Xian. The Greenwood Marquis face turned serious. You Chang'e, just pretend he never came. You are this Marquis' successor, do you understand my meaning? Mu Xian had a thoughtful look, wouldn't doing this. What use does a foreign merchant have for merit? The Greenwood Marquis said with a snort, not to mention that he already received the reward he deserved, 500 million gold coins. You think it's only 500 million gold coins? The Greenwood Marquis was a bit angry. Now that half of the Green Ridge Resource Area's shares have been bought by him, this loss is more than 1 billion or 2 billion for us. Although it's an act of looting a burning house, he only holds shares in most of the resource fields and does not control them. This Marquis can only turn a blind eye to it. No wonder. This fellow was truly treacherous. Chu Tian had come up with a plan and had already reaped the benefits. Now he was using a large sum of money to loot a burning house. This was a method that undermined the actual benefits of Qingzhou. The Greenwood Marquis not pursuing this matter was giving him a favor, so he should return the favor. No one in Qingzhou knew about this person. Everyone gave the greatest credit to Mu Xian. This honor to Mr. Chiu or the mysterious Mr. Yu was not worth a single coin. However, to Mu Xian, this was something that could not be bought with money. As the Greenwood Marquis' successor, he would inherit his father's Greenwood Marquis title sooner or later. This great merit made everyone worship him and respect him, which was very important to Mu Xian in managing Qingzhou in the future. Mu Xian said to his father with a puzzled expression, I don't understand. Mr. Chiu is not a normal person, so why haven't I heard of him in southern Xia? Could it be? He is a foreign scholar. Mu Xian, you actually know Mr. Chiu's identity, but you just don't dare believe it. What does royal father mean? Mr. Chiu is just an alias to keep a low profile. The Greenwood Marquis said this and then his voice suddenly changed. This Marquis was not sure at first, but after some observation, I can confirm that this Mr. Chiu is my southern Xia's #1 scholar, the Dongfang family's #1 minister, Gu Qianqiu. Mu Xian was scared out of his wits. Mr. Chiu's true identity was the great scholar Gu Qianqiu. When Gu Qianqiu was young, he had spent over 20 years traveling around, visiting many countries and visiting many masters. When he returned to southern Xia, he was praised as the most knowledgeable person in southern Xia and it could be said that he had students all over the world. In the eyes of southern Xia's scholars, he was as high up as a king. Even in Mu Xian's dreams, he never would have thought that this low-key and strict old scholar was actually southern Xia's #1 scholar. That's right. Of the top scholars in southern Xia, the most famous were the great scholar Gu Qianqiu and the central state Yun Sect's Yun Tianhe. When this Mr. Chiu appeared in Qing State and displayed knowledge that was not inferior to Yun Tianhe, everyone thought that it was Gu Qianqiu, but they didn't dare believe it at that time. The great scholar had his own considerations for coming to Qing state in a low-key manner. After all, the great scholar's reputation was too great, and if his identity was revealed, it would cause a stir, which would make it hard for Gu Qianqiu to concentrate on his research. Moreover, the method to cure the snake-scorpion beast's poison was a challenge for Gu Qianqiu. If he could perfectly cure it, people would feel that it was reasonable, but if he couldn't solve the problem and his progress was blocked, Qing state's morale would suffer a large blow. After all, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. If even a person like the great scholar couldn't cure it, who else in southern Xia had the ability? The Qing state citizens would lose confidence in the kingdom, and once they lost confidence in the kingdom, large amounts of refugees would appear. This was not good for Qing state and the kingdom. Since the matter had been solved, there was no need for Gu Qianqiu to hide his identity. For such a large character to come to Qing state, the Greenwood Marquis and his son would definitely pay a visit and send a generous gift to express their gratitude. Is the great scholar still in the research room? Yes. After that night, he hasn't left his room in 3 days. After Gu Qianqiu had eliminated the snake-scorpion beast's main force that night, he had not appeared in the following battles. He only locked himself in his research room and focused on studying the 4-directional thunder array's blueprint. There was too much wisdom contained in this array. Gu Qianqiu was like an adventurer that had found a hidden treasure. Under his excitement and fanaticism, he did not sleep for 3 days. Just his notes filled up 3 thick notebooks. The Greenwood Marquis, Mu Rong, greets Mr. Qiu. Gu Qianqiu was interrupted by the Greenwood Marquis, and his eyes flashed with a trace of displeasure. He immediately closed the notebook and walked out of the research room. The Greenwood Marquis has personally come, so he will most likely recognize this old man. The Greenwood Marquis did not pretend to be stupid and said with a serious expression, "The great scholar has come from afar to solve Qing state's problem. Mu Rong has not recognized you in time and has come to make up for it. Mu Xian, why haven't you given the gift yet? There's no need for this kind of thing." Gu Qianqiu did not even look at it as he gave a sigh. Solving Qing state's problem is not my merit, it is not my merit. Gu Qianqiu had been studying the blueprint for several days. As he continued to study it, he felt like he was looking at a tall mountain. Even a single detail of this blueprint would allow Gu Qianqiu to study it for several days. Just who was this young man? Mu Rong saw that the great scholar was not willing to accept the gift, so he did not force him. The Green Ridge has been opened and Qing state has regained its vitality. This marquis wants to hold a grand banquet and hopes that the great scholar will give me some face. Gu Qianqiu wanted to say something. Suddenly, a sharp cry rang out. When they looked up into the sky, they saw over 100 giant flying demon beasts. They had light yellow feathers like the sun. The lion's back half was covered in yellow fur and the eagle's head was covered in golden feathers. They had a large body and gave off an awe-inspiring aura. On the back of each griffin sat a knight with a lance in his hand. Griffin Knights? It's the Royal Knights. They're from Imperial City. In a small country like southern Xia, flying mounts were rare and most of the griffins were imported from other countries. So even though the Griffin Knights were strong, they were not the main force. They were only used for scouting, sending messages, and guarding the royal palace. A large man with a full beard landed on the ground and respectfully knelt down on one knee. "I am the Royal Knights' 3rd captain, Chao Bao. I greet the great scholar and the Greenwood Marquis." The Greenwood Marquis asked, "The Royal Knights have been dispatched, could something big have happened?" "We have come to Qing state under the king's orders to assist the great scholar in his mission to Central State." Chao Bao held a secret letter in both hands. "This is an urgent letter from Imperial City to the great scholar. I ask the great scholar to personally take a look." Gu Qianqiu looked over it. His brows tightly knit together before his face turned dark. Humph, what a wild brat. Angering this old man to death. Gu Qianqiu angrily threw the letter to the ground. How can southern Xia tolerate this kind of arrogance? The Greenwood Marquis asked in a surprised voice, "Why is the great scholar angry? A brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth has appeared in Central State. Not only did he insult my disciple and my reputation, he even challenged me by name. The most hateful thing is that this person has created chaos in Central State, causing rivers of blood to flow in Central State City and tens of thousands of people to die. There was something like this. The Greenwood Marquis was very shocked as he picked up the letter to look over it. In this era, there was a lack of information. Qing State couldn't even take care of itself, and the Greenwood Marquis didn't know much about the other states, so he was shocked when he saw it. This scroll was filled with the crimes of a young man called Chu Tian, practically portraying him as an unpardonable villain. This person had even insulted the great scholar's former student and even insulted the great scholar himself. If this was known, it would cause a stir in southern Xia. What was even worse was that he had caused a stir in Central State, swallowing the three great families and becoming the leader of Central State. Not only that. Although he had committed all sorts of crimes, the imperial city did not immediately punish him. They had sent a special envoy to investigate, but in the end, he had traveled tens of thousands of miles to Central State, and before his but even warmed, he had been crippled. This kind of arrogance and this kind of arrogant attitude, it was truly rare in this world. If Shenfengho is in Central State, why is Central State in such chaos? Shenfengho. Gu Qianqiu was already a bit dissatisfied with Shenfengho. He has always been in a half-secluded state, so it's hard to avoid neglecting the management of Central State. That's why such a wild person has appeared. Since this old man has met him, I can't just watch this evil wind grow, so I will personally go to Central State. The Greenwood Marquis asked. This Marquis is willing to lend the great scholar a hand. In southern Xia, no one dares to move against me, and the three rulers have to give me face, so what does a trivial Central State city count for? Even better, Southern State's Western Marquis has received orders and will arrive in Central State in a few days. This old man will go first and see the situation. Qing State's military strength was tight, so it was not suitable to make a big move. This is also good. Gu Qianqiu did not waste any time in Qing State. He immediately rode on Qiao Bao's griffin and headed for Central State. When the vast green land of Qing State was getting further and further away, Gu Qianqiu couldn't help thinking of the youth, Yu Chang'e. He didn't know where this peerless genius came from and whether he would ever have the chance to ask him for advice again. Gu Qianqiu hated that his skin was not thicker. He should have kept the other side busy, but now that he had left, who knew where he would go? After this matter in Central State, he had to properly inquire about it. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.